Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Steffes, and I'm here to do a video I'm calling the Ultimate Beach Volleyball Training Program. Now, I have done a video like this before, a professional beach volleyball workout. I encourage you to watch it on my YouTube channel. This will be number 2. Now, in the last one, I started from the top and went down. This time, I'm going to go up from the bottom and go up. It will be a comprehensive look at everything you need to know in order to become a professional beach volleyball player. And the reason why I'm doing it today is because today is January 1st. That's right. What does it mean? That means it's the beginning of the 2024 Professional Beach Volleyball Tour. That's right. Today is the day you get started on becoming a great professional beach volleyball player this year. All right. And I will show you exactly how to do it. Now, if you do everything that I present here, you will do very well. And if you are not doing well, if you are having problems or struggling or for not winning, it is because there's something on this list that I'm going to talk about that you are not either doing correctly or not doing in the proper manner. And that we will talk about what you can do with that. Excuse me. So this year is an Olympic year. The Olympic Games will be in Paris, France, and that is what all of us aspiring beach volleyball players are all shooting for. And if you do it, you will get one of these. This is an Olympic gold medal. This is the Olympic gold medal that I won in Atlanta. It's the first Olympic gold medal that was presented to any. It was the first time beach volleyball was in the Olympics, and I had the pleasure of participating and winning. So yes, I do know what I'm talking about. If you want more about my career, I have an extensive career, including records and world championships and all that. You can read about it in the notes of this video. But again, today is the day that we start, all right? Today, the day is we put away the past, all right? Doesn't matter what happened in the fall. Doesn't even matter what happened last year, all right? This is a new year. This is a new day. Time to get serious now. And what it takes is to become a professional athlete. Today's the day that you put away the bad food and you start with your proper diet. Now, again, I was never kind of a nut about dieting, but I did eat well and I did make good choices. Similarly, it's time to stop the screwing around. It's time to get to bed and get your rest because as a professional athlete, we need rest. All right. And you're going to like that because what you like to do is to play professional beach volleyball tournaments, and what you really love to do is win. All right. That helps you get through all the other parts. Another thing that I did when I was playing on January 1st of every year, I would stop drinking. All right, so, I had my normal holiday festivities, but come January 1st, that was it. I stopped drinking until well into the season. All right, eventually you have to do something. But anyway, that's not important. You just stop now and tell everybody I'm not drinking because I'm going to be a professional beach volleyball player. They will all understand. Nobody will bother you. You will have just as good a time. Trust me. So let us now start. Again, strap yourself in. This is going to be comprehensive, and I'm going to include everything that you need to know to become a professional beach volleyball player. Again, in combination with that first video, I encourage you to watch it. I will share my screen. We will get this up, and there we go. So, as always, we start with the goal, and the goal of sport is to win, period. I know other people have other goals or claim that there are other goals in sport, but there are not. All right, there's only one goal in sport, and that is to win, period. The goal of a soccer game is to kick the ball into your opponent's goal while keeping them from kicking the ball into your goal. All right, in terms of volleyball, it is to get to the score before your other team gets to the score, 21. So you are to get to 21 before the other team gets to 21. The team that does that is the winner. The team that does not do that is the one that does not win. You get it? So there is only one goal, all right? So how we go about achieving that goal is what is important, all right? I want you, if you want to be a professional beach volleyball player and you want to win, I want you to say this every morning when you get up, and I want you to constantly repeat it. Right? These are what are called affirmations, and I'll talk about it, all right? So every morning when you get up, you say to yourself, I want to be a professional athlete. And you say to yourself, I want to win. As I said, if you're already a professional athlete, you can skip that step and just go to the I want to win part. All right. Again, when it comes to sport, all right, the only thing that matters in sport is speed, strength, and conditioning. All right. The ones that are faster, that are stronger, and that are better conditioned are the ones that win. All right. But again, it is a base level. It's not, certainly in a sport like the 100-meter dash, the difference between the winner and number 2 in terms of speed is important. But in sports like beach volleyball, which have a lot of other elements into them, as well as other sort of team-based sports like that, you only have to be fast enough. You only have to be strong enough, and you only have to be conditioned enough. All right. You have to get to a certain point, and once you're there, then other things come into play. All right. in terms of strategy and how you perform the technical skills is the bottom line. Okay, you got that? Again, you're going to focus on rhythmic power, not mechanical training. You know, if you have coaches that are training you mechanically, that is wrong, mostly, except in very, very limited circumstances. But that's what coaches like to do because that is how the coaching. Oh, we'll talk about that here. Anyway, you need to be training rhythmic power. All right, it's not about where your wrist, your hand, your elbow is. All right, that's not the point. The point is you need to have rhythm, which is timing. All right, sports is timing and power. All right, and in and out of balance position. All right, so in normal sports, you are in and out of balance position. You need to be powerful and at the correct timing. All right, that is what distinguishes between the great athletes and the also-rans. All right. And if you understand that, you will understand how to train correctly, and this will do it. All right, we will again start at the bottom. Okay, all right, here we are. Each year, you're going to improve one thing, 20%, four things, 10%, and some other things, 2%. So I want you to get out your piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down the one thing that you are going to improve this year, 20%. Okay, it could be anything, right? I just want you to focus on one thing. All right, then I want you to list four things you're going to improve 10%. All right, and a few other things, only 2%. All right, the way to win is to get constantly better. All right, the way you get constantly better is to set realistic goals. All right, you're not trying to get 100% better in everything. That's not realistic. All right, you need to be realistic and begin to build. And over time, you will see as you begin to do these things, you know, even year in and year out, if you're a young athlete, Jesus, like it's in 3 or 4 years, if you do this, you'll be a lot better than where you start now. All right, so get your pen out and write them down. All right, these are affirmations in a sense. So these are things when you write these things down and look at them every day, you say, I'm going to work on my passing. I'm going to get 20% better passing this year. All right, that's what's called an affirmation that we talked about before. When you have an affirmation, your brain naturally shifts to improving in that area. Or, you know, like I said, it's a simple sentence as in, I want to be a professional beach volleyball player. If you tell yourself that, your brain naturally helps you to work behind the scenes, right? In the subconscious area of your brain, it'll work behind the scenes to help you to achieve that goal. It's as simple as, you know, the studies on this are so comprehensive. We know about this, something as luck. All right. People who believe in luck or don't believe in luck. All right. What the studies show are that people who believe in luck find luck. All right. Not because they're lucky, but because they're looking for luck. You got that? So if you think you're a lucky person, you will be more aware more aware as you go through life to see and be able to take advantage of opportunities when they come up, right? If you believe you're unlucky, then your brain will naturally not look for things, okay? It's kind of fun the way the brain works and how it integrates into playing professional sports. Again, you're going to work on improving in practice and competition constantly, all right? Without judgment. All right, without judgment. All right, you are not I'm assuming you are not the #1 player in the world like I was, and you are not a gold medalist yet. That is fine. All right, you can get there. You can get there eventually, as long as you improve in practice and competition constantly. All right, without judgment. All right, what happened in the past I'll talk about it before. There's no memory in sports. All right, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. The solutions to your problems are in your future. They are not in your past. Okay. Period. The solutions to your problems are in your future. All right. And that's where you need to look for it. And again, you are not only going to improve in practice, you're going to improve in competition. All right. The best way to train for professional beach volleyball is when you are in a competition. All right. That is when you go for it. That is when you try new things. All right. We are not, you will never win at the highest levels in athletic contests if you are holding back because you are worried, or if you're conservative, as they call it. All right. If you are conservative, you will never win be at the top of your sport. You'll never hit elite performance. Right? You need to practice in competitions, practice hard serves, things you haven't done. All right. As the old saying goes, he who does not take risks does not drink champagne. All right. The reason why the champagne is always brought out at the end of the celebration, they spray each other with champagne, is to get this point. He or she who does not take risks does not drink champagne. All right. So you are going to constantly improve in the competition. As a matter of fact, Karch and I would do this thing. I tell this story a lot, and it's really because it's really meaningful to me and really impactful. So normally when you play beach volleyball tournaments, you don't want to lose at all, right? You're trying to win because you get knocked down into the losers bracket. or you lose, you're out of the tournament. Well, we played in this competition called the Cuervos, where it was a round robin, right? So we'd entered into the last game of the round robin, and we were already had enough. Our win-loss record, we were undefeated, so we were already in the final. So the result of that last match didn't matter, right? What a lot of teams would do is they would like dog it, right? So they would say, screw it, we don't want. Why would we try in a match that doesn't matter when we're already in the finals? It'll just make us more tired in the final. So they would dog it. Now you can't like completely throw the match. You can't be like, we won't play. You kind of go through the motions, but everyone knows what's going on. But what Karch and I, we weren't like that. We just weren't built like that, right? It wasn't in our mentality to just give up. So what we did something instead. We said, well, no matter what we're going to do, we're going to serve as hard as we can. So if we miss every serve, it doesn't matter. We're going to go for every single serve every single time. And without judgment, okay? So it didn't matter. If we won, lost, we're going to serve as hard as we can. Well, the funny thing about that was we never served better in competition ever than in those games when they didn't matter and we just decided to go for it. All right. We would rip off aces. So in an 11-point game, we get like 8 aces. All right. That was back during the side out scoring. So 11 of our points, the game was 11, we'd have like 8 aces. We would never be able to replicate that in a championship or in a game. I mean, we would serve well in championships and we were great servers, both of us, but we can never replicate that super high level. I mean, I guess maybe so that is what I'm talking about, is the difference between, letting yourself, allowing yourself to practice and work on improving in a competition. Most people get a little like, oh, I don't want to try something new in a practice. It might not work on me. Well, another thing you can do is perhaps go play in a tournament and just say, this tournament, especially when you're coming up in the world, this tournament, I'm going to try to go for it on every play. I'm going to try hard shots. I'm going to try hard, serves. I'm going to do things, blocking or defense that I don't normally do in order to expand. And I'll get into what's called your mental map. I will talk about that. All right. Second thing is you need to practice at the speed of sport, right? If you're not practicing at the speed of sport, you're not practicing. And that's one of the problems with most coaching and most drilling is that they're not at the right angles of how the game is played. They're not at the right speed of how the game is played. All right. It's not at the same timing or tempo. All right. So a coach who's on a ladder, who's hitting balls at you, that's not how the game is played. And therefore you're not actually improving on what it's going to take to win the athletic contest. All right. Yes, I do critique some of the coaching in this sport. One of the reasons is because when I started playing, there were no coaches. There were no coaches in beach volleyball because it wasn't really considered a sport back when I started playing. Right? Only now that it's in the Olympics and it's in college and NCAA, and there's a whole bunch of coaches now who want to get paid to coach. Right, so I had to learn this all on my own. Right, I had to learn this all on my own, and I did. And I actually talked to coaches in other sports as well. All right. This is your Adrian Crooks, as we talked about before. What this is, it's dynamic stretching and movement in your joints, all right? You need to get all your joints warmed up and smooth and moving, all right? This is just a simple neck one, right? Moving around the neck like this. All right, you'll notice whether you're tense or something in some place. You go to the ear, to the shoulder, ear. This one's a little tight. This one's tight, this one's tight. And then you start with the shoulders, right? So the shoulder can do like this, but it can also release forward. You have to be opening up these joints, getting movement in them so that they work correctly. All right. And if you notice a problem in them, then you will sort of put your attention or your focus on that to see whether you can work it out. All right. You start with the wrists, you start with the ankles, you do the knees, you do the hips, you do the back. There's all sorts of ones in here. You could take a look here and do it. If those of you who don't know what I'm talking about here, or you don't have a coach or trainer that understands this, I'm sure they do. Please feel free to contact me or email me or DM me or whatever. I'd be happy to set you in the right direction. Okay, where am I now? All right, so now we go into the basic skills. This will be Beach Volleyball 101. All right. You are going to play a beach volleyball match. You walk onto the court. You warm up. All right. The first thing you do is you notice where the sun and the wind are coming, where the sun is and where the wind is coming from, because that is going to inform how you play the game. Right? If the wind is coming, of course you understand the sun. I don't need to go into that. But if the wind is coming into your face, that means functionally the court is shorter. All right. If this, if the, yeah, it's longer. Hold on here. It's been a while. All right. All right. Now, if the wind is in your face, their court is functionally larger and your court is functionally smaller. So that would inform you when they're serving and hitting. Same on the other side. All right. If the wind is at your back, all right, the other team's court is shorter, right? Because if you hit the same serve with the wind at your back, it's gonna, as you do with the wind in your face, it's gonna go long on one and it's gonna be short on the other. Same with left to right, all right? This will come into play when you're passing and when you're setting. If the wind is coming from your left or from your right, as well as in the front and back, it's going to make the ball move, and you have to be aware of that. All right, so it's the first thing you do when you come up and notice. All right, now what we're going to talk about is what I talk about, we're going to do offense and we're going to do the defense and what I call the chain. All right, beach volleyball has a chain of actions that occur. All right, so a volleyball, it gets put into play and then a series of actions called a chain occur. And what you find are people that are not successful and don't win beach volleyball matches, there's something broken on this chain. All right, so you have to figure out what is broken on the chain, and we break down each of the actions that occur and try to find out what is going on. All right. So the problem with coaching is that we all know what to do. All right. We know how to pass. We know how to set. We know what to do on offense and defense. The problem is if you have an athlete such as you guys who are not doing it correctly, the problem is how to get you to do it. If you're doing it incorrectly, the problem is how to get you to do it correctly. And that can be a challenge for most people, because that is where the rubber meets the road in coaching, is to get the individual athlete to shift, all right, and to move. And it could be something physical, it could be something mental, and it could be something emotional. And you have to engage the athlete. And again, I'm going to talk about this mental map. All right, there's a mental map inside of athletes that they operate under, and there could be problems with the mental map. Actually, it always is. It's always a problem in the mental map somewhere. You just got to find it. And then the trauma, there's a big trauma rock on top of it, and that comes bubbling up. That's always the fun stuff. All right, now, first, you are standing there ready to receive serve. The question is, have you watched tape? All right, we talked about that. This is I mentioned that very in depth on the first video, scouting, okay? Scouting. Do you know the chart? Do you have charts on your opponents and how they serve, their tendencies and tells, okay? They are going to serve you the ball. The first thing that every opponent always does before they serve is they look where they're going to serve. So if they're going to serve down the line, they look down the line, they look towards the angle. The human being cannot help themselves. So you should not be messing around before serve receive. You should be focusing on who is going to serve, because they will look with their eyes where they are going to serve. That will give you a tip on where it's going to go. All right, if they have sunglasses on, then you look at their nose. Okay, if their nose is this way, that is where they're serving. If their nose is this way, that is where they're serving. Again, you have some history, or or you should know, and you have some tape, all right, and your coaches or you have worked on understanding their tendencies and tells of how they serve. All right, how does their float serve work? Does it mostly float down? Does it float deep? If they have a jump serve, does it spin from our perspective left to right? Does it go right to left? Do they like to serve it deep? Do they like to serve it short? Right, you have an inventory in your mind of what your opponent's going to do before even the referee has blown the whistle. All right, I knew exactly, for example, with Mike Dodd, he liked to hit a float serve. Okay, and it was very good float serve. He could hit it very short or very long. We played on a larger court, so it was very difficult to get to, except that I noticed that his hand would slow down when he hit the short ball and his hand would speed up when he hit the fastball. So I had an insight into what was going to happen prior to the ball being put into play. All right, that gave me a huge advantage. And again, we're going to look at these small advantages, these tiny little differences that you can make in a game. And we've been going on for a long time now, and the ball isn't even in play yet. All right, and these are going to add up. These are going to add up to helping you win. All right, again, it's those. You're going to work on something 2% to get better. All right, this might be one of them. All right, so the ball is on its way. Now, the first thing is who's going to take the pass between you and your partner. All right, the only problem with this is the one in the middle. And the problem with the one in the middle that comes that when both of you look at each other and it falls and you forget it, it's because what's happening is there's a visual problem. Now, coaches want you to call the ball. Like, I got it. That doesn't work, all right? Your mouth and your brain is not connected to your eyes, is not connected to your body. It never works. But sure, go ahead and do it, even though it doesn't work. The problem that you're facing is visual distortion, right? So from your perspective, visually, it looks like it's going to your partner. From your partner's perspective, it looks like it's going to you. And that's what's happening. Okay, it's a visual distortion between the two athletes because the ball is coming left to right. You have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that for balls in the middle, instead of calling it out, which doesn't work, that you need to take an extra moment or two to wait to see whether it's truly coming to you. Right? You have plenty of time, right? You have plenty of time when your partner passes the ball to get to the set. So it's not a timing issue or a speed issue. It's more just like, all right, when the ball's coming, if the ball's coming in the middle, even though it looks like it's going to your partner, take a step, take a pause and just stay there for a second to make sure that they are going. You can look in as you're watching the ball, you're working on your visual, you can see your partner in your peripheral vision to see if they're moving for it. Right? Remember in the video of the arm skills, right? How you pass, I'm going to talk about in a second. There's video on the wall drills that I talked about, how to be able to pass off of one arm, and also you set against a wall and you look in another direction. So you're working on that peripheral vision as you play, because you need to be aware of everything that's going on the court and where your partner is. All right, the ball now comes to you. There's two things. First of all, did you do your wall drill? So you're able to pass off of all parts of your arms and all the bones in your arm. If you cannot, please go to that video, look it up, and do the drills. Again, you don't have to do them all the time. You just have to be competent in being able to pass off of one arm or the other. And I've talked about that, and I showed some pictures, and I won't get into it necessarily here. Again, the second thing is I recommend using a balance board. So use a balance board in order to separate your lower body and your upper body, okay? What happens in beach volleyball is your lower body is moving through sand and it's uneven, right? That's a problem, whereas your upper body has to fight to maintain a stable, all right, platform, right? Remember when I talked about rhythmic power in an out of balance position? This is it. One half of your body needs to be stable. The other half of the body is fighting, right, to get through the sand and stuff like that. And if you don't separate out those parts and then reintegrate them back, you're not going to be an effective passer, right? So I've given you the wall drill, passing the wall drill is a video you can look at. And here is a perfect example of a balance board. And again, we have not yet received the ball, okay? Somebody sent me this. Why does this never work? I had this teed up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because it was cool. Here we go. All right, so this is not the balance board I would recommend, but it's not a bad one. And he does it on his left foot. He would, of course, do it on his right foot. So here he is on a balance board with his working it against the wall. That is excellent. Okay, you see that? The lower body and the upper body. See how it's not that easy, okay? It's not that easy, which is why you have to train on it. The moment you can train on it, you will become a fabulous beach volleyball player. Thank you for sharing that. Here is what I'm talking about. This is Amazon.com. This is the balance board that I would recommend. It looks good. Yes, just take a screenshot of this and show it to you. Here's some videos. All right, this is one that is, let me see this one. Is that the one I liked? I had this all teed up, but then again, all right. Actually, that's not the good one. This girl's got it. All right, right? See, she's going, now you want to go back and forth and balance. See how her upper body is stable and her lower body is fighting to maintain, and she'll get better, obviously. All right, so there's your arms going back and forth while her lower body is trying to balance. It's exactly what you need to do. Thank you very much for that demonstration. All right, that is where you're going. All right, so now you have received serve. The ball is off of your arm. And again, you need to pass it to a certain place, all right? You know where you want to pass the ball. All right, you can look, all right? Your body follows your eyes. So one of the things you can do when you pass, now most people, you don't look the ball into your arms. You're looking out where you're supposed to pass. You are watching the ball, as I showed you, you're separating out your vision from a focal vision to a general vision, all right? It's not peripheral vision in this case. It's more you're seeing the entire spectrum of the ball, the court, and everything that's going on. It'll become very important in hitting, right? So you look, or actually you can imagine in your mind where you want that ball to go, right? So this is going to be important when we talk about visualization, all right? As you are playing, your brain is visualizing what you want to do, because when you do that, the ball will, your body will go where your eyes want it to and where you are imagining it you want it to go, all right? It's called the feedback, that's the feedback learning mechanism that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, which that's the problem with mechanical training. Mechanical training short circuits all the imaginative where you want the ball to go and the feedback, or the feedback learning mechanism, right? And I'll explain to you perfectly when it comes to setting. All right, so you have an idea where you want it to go. Now, if it doesn't go where you want it to go, we have no judgment, all right? We don't worry about that. Again, there's nothing in the past that's going to help you in the future. So you're always focusing on the future. It doesn't matter how the past went last time. It only matters where the past is going to go next time. All right. Now, depending on your offense, where you want to pass it could change, and that's fine. Right. Again, you're not going to be midlining. I know, people been calling me about the midlining stuff. You're going to have to pass it on. You're going to have to learn to pass in various planes and from various positions. You might be standing, you might be diving, you might be on your knees. All right. Now the ball is going up, and all right. So again, one of the things you need to be aware of is the wind. All right. The wind is going to affect where your pass goes. What I used to like to do, I used to like to put a slight backspin on the ball. All right, just a slight backspin as I pass the ball. That would allow the ball to sort of stay up in the air a little bit longer, and it would be able to deal with the wind. Right? If you send a knuckleball, if you pass a knuckleball into the wind, it's gonna move around a lot more. It's gonna be harder for your setter to set the ball. But if you put a slight backspin on the ball, then that sort of helps it move through the air better. And that's what I would do. Now, don't go out there and start trying to spin that ball backwards, all right? This is what you can do. If you want to practice this, just in your mind, tell yourself, Kent told me this drill. I want to put a slight backspin on the ball, all right? Don't try to backspin the ball. Just tell yourself, backspin the ball, backspin the ball. It is a very slight movement at the very end that'll occur, and it'll work, right? Because you have to take the spin. Well, when we played on the setting, it was very difficult to hand set. So you really had to make sure when you pass the ball that you didn't put a lot of spin on it. Because if you put a lot of spin on it, your setter couldn't set the ball. It would be called a fault. Now it's different, but even still, your setter will have an easier time setting if you pass them a ball which is not spinning around. It also has a slight backspin to it. You can even practice trying to do a right spin and a left spin, because again, volleyball tends to get a little bit, repetitive. One of the things you got to learn is that it is repetitive. I'm hearing something through my headphones on the right here. Sorry about that. Just a second. Did that last time. Okay. Right. So now the ball is in the air. What happens next? All right. No, well, we got footwork, right? So you need to work on your footwork, right? So what's going to happen is the server is serving the ball, you're going to start moving your feet slightly, okay? Because you're not sure which direction you're going to be moving in, right? You're going to use, you're not going to, right? You don't do the step hop, you don't do anything. You simply move towards the ball in an efficient manner. So you're going to turn your hips or whatever you need to do. All right. Again, the lower body is going to be separated from the upper body. You're going to begin to move towards the ball however you can. All right. Get to the ball. Start moving your feet. All right. As we train the sprint training, which I'll talk about later, you will teach yourself your feet are here. One foot moves first. All right. You do not do this and move forward. Right. You're going to train yourself to push off and move. Right. That's one of the things you need to learn in the track portion. And your track coach or your coach who's monitoring your track, you stand on the line. And when he says go, you move forward. Okay. Like this. Right. I had a guy who I was watching, he would step backwards and then move forward. All right. We worked on that. We got him to move forward. All right. You're stepping forward. That's the most important thing. It's not complicated. All right. You move forward with your foot. That's not an easy thing for you to do. Again, we're going to look at these things on this chain. We're going to find out what's not working and we're going to fix them, period. That's what happens, right? Ball's in the air. Now with your setters. Now, when your setters come up, right, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get to the spot where the ball is being set to so that you can set it correctly. A lot of players float into the set, right? They float into the set, right? That's not right. You need to get to the position early so you're ready to set. Now, normally normally you want to be sort of facing the place where you're setting, at least, as you're coming into a set, you're sort of maneuvering in order to face where you're ultimately going to set. And that doesn't always happen because you might be running, back sets, you might be running other sorts of flares and things like that. So you have to be aware of that, right? And again, what you're going to do, how you practice this against the wall is you practice setting against the wall hundreds of times so you get that touch and you know where to go. Again, you're also cognizant of where the wind is, right? Because the wind is going to affect the ball. But again, that setting is not a difficult thing in beach volleyball anymore. As long as you have a good pass. The problem, of course, is what happens if you have a bad pass, right? What happens if you have to do a bump set, or you are what is called out of system is what they call it now, right? Don't they call it out of system? We used to call it a shitty pass, right? So when your partner gives you a shitty pass, what is it you're supposed to do? Now, here's the key, okay? Here's the key. This is the only way that you can train it and the only way you can think about it, okay? Because the worst is when, if it's a great jump serve and your partner passes it behind him, okay? So not only are you not going to be able to face where you're setting, you're actually going to be having to set it backwards over your head. That's the most extreme, but it'll work for everything that is any sort of passing that is out of system. The key to winning beach volleyball tournaments, winning gold medals, and setting balls that are bad passes is to have the intention that you're going to set it correctly. All right, you have the intention. It doesn't matter where the ball is where the ball was passed or how difficult it is for you to get into the position to set it either off of the side or over your back. It is your intention that you're going to set that thing perfectly. Okay, so if I'm on the back line and I have to set it on the net, all right, I say, I don't care, no matter what, I put in my mind, you are going to set it on the net. All right, I'm not going to go for the safe play. I'm not going to try to just get it up. All right, I'm not going to try to get it into play. No. Okay, no. All right, you are going to go for it every time. When I was on the back line, I said, I'm going to set this ball perfectly over my head, all right, off of one arm. Okay, and you can go look at the 1996 Olympic Games, and you can see a place where there was a dig actually in that case, not a pass. It was a dig that I was running off the net from that I had to set back over my head onto the net. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I set that ball perfectly. Right, the other team wasn't expecting it. Karch went up and crushed it, and it was a perfect set. And he was right there to make the play. And that is what I'm talking about. Setting bad balls is an intention. All right, start working on that. If there's a problem with your setting or what's happening, that has to be looked at. Okay, you just put the ball in your hands, throw the thing up. All right, practice it on the wall. Shouldn't be a problem. If there is, your coach will help you deal with it. All right, but the point of beach volleyball isn't when things go well, right? Isn't when there's no wind, when your partner passes it perfectly. It's when things go out of systems. I guess that's a good word, right? And when it's out of system, how you react to it. All right, you're like, that's it, I'm going for it. And it's awesome too. You get to like, did you see that cool set that I set? Running backwards, I was back line, set it right on top of the net. Ooh, hero. It's good stuff. Again, what's the alternative? The alternative is you try to play it safe. It never works. Right? Anytime you try to play it safe in athletics, it never works. You must go for it, okay? At the highest levels, the elite levels, right? The elite levels, this is what's happening. Everyone is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. God, are we? All right, all right, awesome. Now we get to hit the ball, okay? So the ball's now in the air, and it's and now we need. All right, so there's the approach and there's the step close, right? So first of all, there are two aspects of it. One is you're preparing to move forward to hit the ball, right? So on the right side, you're coming right to left, and on the left side, you're coming left to right. Anybody tells you coming straight on the right side is wrong, so ignore them. But that's not the point. The point is that you are positioning yourself to be in position to do the step close, right? Or left, right, if you're a right-handed hitter. So you're trying to get into position. And the point is you want to wait as long as possible. You have to be as fast as you can on the approach, right? You need a fast approach. You have to have a fast approach because you need as much time as possible to see where that ball is going so you can set yourself up properly to hit the ball. Right? I see it all the time at the highest levels, even the professional levels. These guys approach too slow. They're sort of like slowly moving up and they jump. It's terrible. All right. You have to have a fast approach as fast as possible. As I said in the last video, if you want to see someone who has a fast approach, go watch Eric Moana, gold medalist from 2000 Sydney. All right. Then the second thing is the step close has to be very powerful because this is the last 2 or 3 steps before you're going to jump. All right, you're going to jump and try to get as high as you can and hit the ball. All right, and again, you're moving into the ball. One of the things you might want to do if you're is if you're floating, right, is you. All right, first of all, the three basics, right? The three things that everyone does wrong in beach volleyball, as I've mentioned before, is see the blocker, see the ball, the blocker, and the defensive player. When you're hitting, you have to be able to see the ball, the blocker, and the defensive player at all times. Which brings us to another point. Have you scouted the other team? Do you know what their defensive situation is? Do you know how the blocker blocks, right? Does the blocker like to stay in one place and jump to another? Does the defensive player like to stay in one spot? Does he like to wait and then move? You know, so you've already gotten charting and know the tendencies and tells of your defensive opponents, both on the blocking and on the defense. I'm going to go faster through some of these things because it's kind of all the same thing. Right, so I knew how each blocker liked to block. I knew where they were weak and where they were strong. I knew if I did one thing, they would do another thing. All right, so one of the things you're doing as you're coming in on your approach is you have the ability to hit the ball wherever you want. Right, you don't have to hit the ball, you know, where the ball is. You can hit the ball, you know, you have a range in which you can jump from, and a timing issue. So you could hit the ball over here, you could hit the ball in the middle, you could hit the ball over here. So as you're watching the blocker, see what he's doing, you have the choice to hit it along this line of the net, wherever you want to. All right. So again, the reason why you have to see the ball, the blocker, and the defensive player. The only way you can do that is to be jumping forward, right? Most beach volleyball players look up. I mean, it happens in the professional levels. It's not, if you can learn this, which I did. All right, here's beach volleyball. You hit it where there ain't. All right, there's your offense. You have a ball, and they're there, and there's a big court, and you hit it in the spot of the court that nobody is at, where nobody's blocking and nobody's playing defense. There's only two guys over there, right? It's a big court, lots of open sand. Just hit it where there's nobody, right? And the reason, okay, so the only way you can do that is you can see them all. So one of the things you have to do is you have to learn to jump forward, all right? I talked about this in the last video. You must jump forward. You have to learn. If you're not jumping forward, that's something you have to correct. And you're not looking up, you're looking out, right? You're sacrificing a little bit of height in order to be able to hit the ball correctly, all right? Where are we now, all right? So you're up in the air, right? You are moving through space, either left to right or right to left. So you have a choice on where and when you want to hit the ball. You can see the blocker and you can see the defensive player. You're moving forward, obviously. All right. Now, again, you have not decided yet where you're going to hit the ball or whether you're going to hit it or whether you're going to shoot it. One of the things you can do with the tendencies and tells is a lot of athletes at the highest level, even the winners, all right, at the top of the FIVB, I've watched tape on guys, and I've actually charted it, and I see that on their approach, they've determined whether they're going to shoot or hit the ball. All right. If I knew that when I played against them, there's no way you're going to beat me if I know whether you're going to shoot or hit. All right. There's just no way. I'll know where to block. I'll know where to set up on defense. I'm going to beat you every time. And I've seen guys who are, you know, who've won beach volleyball tournaments internationally that do this. It's an incredibly large tell. And it's something that you need to eliminate. All right. So if they don't know whether you're going to hit or shoot, you will have an advantage. And the reason why I did it, because I never knew whether I was going to hit or I was going to shoot. I certainly didn't know on the approach, right? I would only wait till I got in the air and I was about to swing at the ball. Did I then look at the defense and the blocker and determine where to hit, right? So you have four options. You can hit the ball angle, you can hit the ball line, you can shoot the ball angle, you can shoot the ball line. You have a fifth option, you can hit it off the blocker's block, right? So I did not know what I was going to do till I was up there. So that way my arm swing, right? My arm swing on my hit and my arm swing on my shot were similar. You got that? My arm swing on my hit and my arm swing on my shot were similar. That's why they couldn't tell what I was going to do. They talk about my famous line shot, right? My famous line shot back to the line, right? I had two shots. I had a cross court hit and I had a line shot. I had other things too, but that was my money shot. So that's all you got. So develop this, a hard cross court hit and a line shot, and you look to see where they are and you do one or the other. Right? Obviously, if they're moving around, I had other shots as well. But like probably 90% of the things I did was a cross court hit or a line shot. All right. Because the point was I would sit there and wait. And the reason why they couldn't get my line shot is because I'd only hit it there if there was nobody there. All right. So everybody who talks about my world famous line shot, it's because I knew you couldn't get there. Okay. That's why I hit it there. And if you could get there, I knew you weren't in the angle and I'd hit it over there. You got it? It wasn't that. All right. Beach volleyball is a simple game. Beach volleyball is a simple game. The challenge is it's a repetitive note. Right? When you talk to beach volleyball players, they get bored. right? They get bored of playing. Oh, I don't want to just pass it and hit the ball. I don't. I want to jump around. I want to, bounce the ball. I want to do funny things. I want to do crazy things. And the moment you lose focus and attention, you're going to lose volleyball matches, right? I spoke about this many times. Athletic contests at the highest level are close. All right. In the quarterfinal match in Atlanta, we won by 2 points. We were down 12-8 and we had to come back to win 17-15. If we lose that game, that's a big deal, right? The 2000 Olympics, the gold medal match was really close. These contests are very close, right? At the highest levels in all sports, you find that. All right, it doesn't matter what the sport is. So if you lose focus and want to screw around and don't understand the nature of the game, and we'll talk about that, know the game. It's in one of my pieces here. You have to know the game, and part of the problem with the game is it's a little repetitive. Right? They call it boring. I don't call it boring. It's repetitive. So you just have to get your mind on that and do that. All right. So you're in the air. You are looking to see where you're going to attack the ball, and then you successfully attack the ball. All right. What is next? All right. Hitting. Now we turn to defense. All right. Or the other side of the ball. You are going to start serving, right? So so we start to put the ball in the plate with a serve. The first thing that you need to do is you need to practice all your serves and all your types of serving. So not only the jump float everyone likes, which I don't understand, it doesn't seem to be very effective. We mostly used a jump serve. So you need to learn to serve to all parts of the court. So you need to learn how to serve down the line, down the angle, short, deep. You need to learn to start out high, right? And need to learn how to serve it, low over the net. All right. And again, you're going to learn and practice these while you not only practice, but while you play during tournaments. And I have a practice for you, which will help you to develop this so that in the game, you can serve it where you want to serve it. Or a lot of times what we would do is we just serve it hard. Like we didn't care who we served. Like we were the #1 team and the other team weren't as good. So it didn't matter what the other team did or who was on the other team. I didn't care. We'd beat anybody, right? Because we were the best. Now there's two. Here's sort of a more general thought of how sports works. There's two ways to have a strategy in sport, and most coaches do it wrong, of course. All right. The other team has weaknesses and they have strengths. Okay. So what a lot of people think is you go for the weaknesses. So let's go at where they're weak. All right. So this guy is a weaker hitter than this guy. And so we're going to serve that guy. Right. That's a fine strategy and you can be successful at it. Right. You exploit your opponent's weaknesses. But actually the best strategy is to go after their strengths. It's called a strengths-based approach. And it works on a psychological and a mental level. Okay, so if you can go after your opponent's strengths where they're the best at, you will crush them psychologically and they will never be able to beat you. Okay. If you go after their weaknesses, they can always kind of thump their chest and say, well, I'm still the best. They didn't go after what we were really strong at. My partner's not as good. I'm still good. But no, when you go after an opponent's strength, they fold when you keep going after them and having success, what they have is a psychological fold, right? They have a mental fold, and then you've beaten them on a level which isn't that apparent when you're watching it on TV. I can see it because I was a professional. All right, so there's two ways to go about it. Most coaches like go for the weakness, but no, if you're a champion, you want to go after that guy's strength because you want to beat him. You want to beat their ass, right? All right. So you serve to the correct spot, you serve to the correct place, you mix it up. Again, you might want to serve to a point on the court, which is fine. You also might want to just serve hard or serve tough, right? Go back and rip a jump serve no matter where it goes. I did that a lot. Sometimes I wanted to hit a specific spot. Other times I just said, screw it. I'm going to try to hit it as hard as I can, right? Just go for it. So again, God, it's, you put a visualization in your mind that you're going to succeed. Okay, so yes, you can try to think about a spot you want to hit and your body will go to that spot. But another thing is you want to manifest like greatness and awesomeness. You want to manifest a really hard, tough serve. Okay. In other words, I'm back there and I'm thinking, I'm just going to, we just had an earthquake. All right. I live in Southern California here in Los Angeles. Oh, we're having a big earthquake now. January 1st. Welcome. It's all right. We have these all the time, or not all the time, but occasionally. But this was a big one. You'll read about it in the newspaper. Hopefully nobody is hurt. Okay. Hopefully nobody's hurt. We are fine now. All right. Anyway, back to serving. All right. This manifestation I was talking about, I just wanted to manifest greatness, awesomeness, a hard serve. And I would go back, I'm just going to rip this thing and see what happens. Right. And for some reason, my body Oh, sometimes I went down the line, sometimes I went down the angle, sometimes I went high. Like because I had practiced so many stuff, it seemed to have always worked out. My body kind of intuitively knew where the serve needed to go when I just got rid of everything, let go and just let myself play. All right. Same with the hitting too. Like I would just go up, and for some reason I knew where to hit. I just practice it repetitive. Again, my goal was to hit it where there ain't. So when I went upstairs or went up and was on the jump, on the hit, on offense, my body knew what to do. Same thing with the serve. For some reason, when I just let go and just went for it, my body knew what to do, and it worked every time. It's not easy always to generate the emotions and that charge, like that awesomeness charge. But work on it, and practice it. Actually, I wish somebody would have told me to work on it and practice. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing because we didn't have any coaches. We didn't have anybody telling us what we needed to do. All right, so now you've served the ball. Their offense is coming at you. You have watched tape, right? You have their tendencies and tells. You know what they like to hit and where they don't like it. If you do not, all right, it's January 1st, all right? January 1st, you've got your intentions of what you want to do, what you're going to work on. You're going to stop screwing around. You're going to become a professional. You're going to start watching tape right now. All right, go get your volleyball TV subscription, start watching. And again, it doesn't matter who you watch or what games you watch, you'll begin to get an inventory. That's how humans work. Humans work on pattern recognition, right? We work on pattern recognition. The more we see of somebody, the more we understand what their patterns are. So I had a ton of inventory on all the players that I competed against. And I won't go through them all so that this doesn't get too long. But as you watch somebody play over and over again, they do say what they're going to do before they're going to do it. All right. The thought of an action precedes the action, usually by a half second to a second. Go to my Facebook page. I wrote a Facebook post on how the subconscious conscious works from a time perspective, and if you can hack into that time distortion, which is again a half second to a second on both sides, you'll be far ahead of the game. And we'll get into that when we look up their time dilation. Right, time is an important aspect of sports. People who are successful and win are in a different time. It's a temporal thing. Temporal perspective. They're actually operating on a different time. So, when you see a basketball player like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry, right? And you say, well, they're going to take the last second shot. Everyone knows it, but they seem somehow to break away from the defense and shoot a last second shot with nobody guarding them. That is because they're operating in a different time dimension. All right. The different time dimension. Everyone else is reacting late. They are reacting earlier. Anyway. So, right, all right. So here's something that's going on. Your goal is to block the ball and to dig the ball. All right, but it's not to do it on every play. It's only to do it when you know what they're doing and when you should make the play. All right. I'm going to show you a statistic that is going to blow some statistics that are going to blow your mind. All right. All right. I want you to understand this really well when it comes to how to play on the defensive side, the blocking side. This is the AVP's leaderboard. This is the only kind of information we have. All right, we'll go with the men first. All right, or first of all, let's talk about aces. All right, the best AVP volleyball player only has less than one ace per game. All right, they call them sets. I call them games. But in a match, all right, in a game, in a set, the best AVP player, the best American player, only has one ace. If you cannot get one ace per game, trust me, if you do what I told you, what I just explained before, you will have more than one ace a game. All right, remember what I talked about, what Coach and I were able to accomplish? Like the ability for you, there is no reason why if you're a standard athlete with standard size, okay, you cannot become better by what I'm talking about. All right, the difference between those that win and those that don't win is that they train differently, they think about the competition differently, and they experience the competition differently. Right? They're doing different things. All right. It's not difficult to train you to get one or more ace per game. All right, per set. It's not difficult. I could show you how to do it, but it's a different philosophy. It's not about trying to get the ball in or trying to like not make a mistake. Oh, don't make a mistake. You have a point. You see what's happening here? Like it's amazing how small a difference it takes to take you from not being very good to being excellent. Right? All right. So now we're going to go with terminal blocks, right? And the best blockers on the tour are getting two and a half blocks, 2 blocks. Number 2 is 2 blocks. Right, Andy Benish is the number 1 American team, and he only has 2 blocks per set per game. Okay, so in a sense, here's the point. The point is, how many serves are you going to serve a game? 20 or less. Like, you're only trying to get 2 blocks out of 20. So it's a different philosophy of blocking. All right, if you go and do the same thing on block, as opposed to you're trying to find 2 blocks. All right, you're trying to find 2 blocks out there by looking at your opponent, seeing what they're going to do, seeing if you can, if you know their tendencies and tells, getting inside of the time, all right, distortion that I talked about, to wait for them to make a mistake, get a good serve to put them in trouble. All right, you see what's happening? All this stuff is happening in order to get 2 or 3 blocks per, all right, game, per set. It's not, again, it's not a lot. All right, it's not a lot. As we look, digs too. The problem with digs is on the dig stat is it includes free balls and balls off the block. So this isn't a good stat. But you'll see the same thing in digging. Okay, the best diggers, the best diggers in beach volleyball, the ones that win, don't dig a lot of balls, as in hard hit balls. All right, and stretching out to get the shot. All right, that's not how you win volleyball games. You don't win volleyball games by making spectacular plays. I say this all the time. You win volleyball games by making the plays you should make. All right, by getting those 1 or 2 aces, those 2 or 3 blocks. All right, 2 or 3 or 4 digs, or get a couple of, get all the times your opponent makes a mistake. Right, that's how you win beach volleyball games. And we'll go with the women too, and it's going to be the same thing. I haven't even looked at this, but I guarantee you. Let's look at aces. All right, we'll go per set. All right, it's even less than 1. All right, to be the best women's beach volleyball player in the United States in aces, you need 1 ace per set. All right, well, go for it. Just go back there and rip that thing. All right, same with blocks. Let's see if the same thing with blocks. All right, what does it take to be the best block? Sarah Pavin, right? 1.5 blocks per game, per set. 1.5 blocks. You're not trying to block the ball. You're trying to get 2 blocks. All right. If you get 2 blocks, you're the best blocker. All right, on the AVP tour. All right, and I'm sure it's the same on the FIVB tour. I guarantee it, because I've been doing this for 40 years and it hasn't changed. All right, the philosophy on defense is you are not trying to block or dig the ball. You're trying to block and dig when they make a mistake, when you know what they're going to do, when you're inside the decision cycle, and when you should. Okay, that's it. You just, again, it's a 21-point game. Like, all you need is 3, 4, 5. You just start putting these things together, you will be successful. It's the law of 2 point, the Ken Steffes' law of 2-point greatness. Athletic contests are decided by very small margins, and the differences are very small too. So focus on getting it right. So January 1, right? We're going to focus on right now, where you are going to focus on it. You're going to focus on that. Okay. Remember we talked about intentions? I want you to begin to think about, as you're playing a match, whether you're practicing or playing in a tournament, I want you to think about, have you gotten your 1 ace yet? Okay, I haven't gotten my 1 ace yet. I got to get that 1 ace. All right, have I gotten my 2 blocks, or let's say 3 blocks? Have I gotten my 3 blocks if you're a blocker? I haven't got my 3 blocks. I got to get my 3 blocks. I want you to focus on 3 blocks, not blocking every time. Same with digging, right? Have I dug 2 balls? Have I dug 2 hard hit balls? Have I dug 2 hard, or have I gotten 3 shots? All right, have I gotten 3 shots? That's what I want you to focus on. And if you do that, you will be successful. This is comprehensive. All right, so blocking, right? Everybody is in the wrong timing on blocking. They jump too early because the time distortion, right? They're perceiving time incorrectly. If you watch my first video, I go through it a little bit more. Feel free to watch it, but you need to go later on the block. All right, go videotape yourself and get a coach. They will show you. All right, you should be reaching the top of your block as the ball is being hit towards you. All right, not before. A lot of times you're too early. You're like waiting, and then you'll be coming down as they hit the ball. You want to be jumping up as they're hitting the ball. Right, as they're beginning to strike the ball, you are still rising and penetrating into the net, or doing what you're going to do. Okay. Of course, you have your, with the modern defenses, with the modern offenses, you're going to be adjusting your defense, right? You have your defensive strategy. But again, we're talking about at the point of contact, because that's all that matters, right? If you're not in the right place, it doesn't matter what your strategy is. It doesn't matter if they're setting on 2, they're setting on, they're going back sets, they're doing fast sets. You got to get to the spot, right? And that's important. We're assuming you're going to get to the spot. That's a problem. It's a speed problem. You're not fast enough, or you're not anticipating. Right. Same thing with the setters. If the setters are running one of these modern offenses, All right, you can have there's tendencies and tells on what they're going to do, but you can also disrupt their offense by serving it in a specific case. Okay, so in the case of one of the teams, I'm not going to mention it, but in one of the teams who runs one of these fast offenses, if you just serve them short to the line, it disrupts their entire offense. They can't run it. All right. Again, this is when you start to look at these things and start tearing apart the chain, you start noticing what you're going to do. All right. So your footwork is important, right? You have to be stable. Again, back to that balance board. The bottom half has to be separate from the top half because you're unstable on the bottom half and how you're jumping, right? So you have to be stable and you have to have your proper footwork, right? If there's a problem with your footwork, we'll work on footwork training. That's not a problem. All right. And then strategy. What is your strategy of blocking? Again, the strategy is to try to get those 3 blocks, not to block every ball or go angle or go line or something like that. You're trying to block 3 balls, period. Right. Don't get discouraged if you're not going to do it. It's all right. All right. On defense, right? Problem with defense is everybody's out of the court. All right, think about it. Like a lot of people are so far back that if a ball came at their head, it would have gone out of bounds. All right, they're in the wrong position. You need to get in the court, especially with a small court. People are too far out. You have to get into the court. Digging is like it's like 3 and 4 dimensions because it's got a time aspect, and the way you have to visualize it is like an upside down wedding cake. All right. As the play develops, as the set goes up, as the hitter comes, where on the court they can hit changes. Okay, where in the court they can hit changes. You have to be aware of where you need to be in the position, right? Because you're not trying to dig hard balls. It's very hard to dig a hard ball. Like if there's no net, if there's no. I mean, some of the great defensive players can, of course. I got to slow down here. Getting too excited. Right? So people like St. John, some of the great defensive players can dig very well. During balls, but I'm a gold medalist. I was the #1 player in the world. I was the winningest player of all time. I was the youngest #1 player in the sport, and I was a horrible defensive player. And I've always said that I could not dig very well, but it didn't matter, as I'm telling you, because what matters is digging the balls you should make or should dig, and on making the plays you should make and being in the correct position. It's far more important to be in the correct position than to be a good digger. All right, it's far more important to be in the correct position than to be a good digger. You got that, or a good defensive player. That's what matters, because again, I'm sure if we looked at the digs, because the dig stat is distorted by other stuff, you would find this. If you get a couple, you only need a couple digs, right? So you need to be in the proper spot, and you can't be running. You have to know where the ball's going. Okay, you know your offensive player. You know what they like to do. You know their tendencies and tells. You're inside their decision cycle, their time cycle, and you are reacting to what they're going to do. Okay, you're not guessing. So you see guys running here and the ball's going this way. That's wrong, right? You're not guessing. Again, the goal is not to dig the ball. The goal is to dig the ball when you should, which means when you've read them correctly and when you're in the right. So you're in the right spot. Okay, and it changes. That's why I can't tell you what exact spot to be in. It depends on how the play is developing, but you are in the right spot. Then you are waiting for the tendencies to tells, and you see it, and then you go for it, and you make the play. And you only have to do it 2 or 3 times a game, all right, to be good. That's it. All right, so there's, all right, block and defense. Don't guess, got it. Serving, go for it. Perfect. Make the plays you should make, right? Here we are. So we've gone over that, right? And again, there's a chain here, right? So serve, receive is a chain. So they serve the ball, you pass the ball, you set the ball, you hit the ball. Something's gone wrong, all right? And we can figure out what that is and what we need to train on that. Same on the other side. You serve the ball, all right? More times than not, they're going to side out. That's just the nature of the game, especially when we played with a big court. But so you're not looking. So if you serve the ball and they side out, you might just say that was what happened. You only taking a look at it when you know what they were going to do and you weren't able to stop it, or they had something or mistake or something happen when you should have made the play. So the critical thing when you're charting your defense is to make sure you're focusing on the times when you should have made the play. So one of the tragedies of beach volleyball is if the other team doesn't make a mistake, you're not going to win. All right, especially when we played with the side out scoring. If the other team does not make any mistakes, you're not going to win, and that's a problem. That's a problem mentally for a lot of people in this game. Especially when you're coming up. Like when you're coming up, there's not a lot of chance to beat a good team because they're not going to make a mistake against you. All right, only when you get to the level where you're not making a mistake. Now, when you're not making a mistake and they're not making a mistake, it becomes a battle of wills at that high level. Who can last the longest, right? Or in that, who's going to make that one play that makes the difference. All right, where are we here? All right, time dilation. I went through this rather a lot in the last video, feel free to go there and read it. The whole point of time dilation is that you're talking about a temporal perspective and a difference in temporal perspective, right? People like athletes talk about how time slows when they're playing, or that time stops, and that they can see the future, and they can. Okay, so time slows down, time stops. You can see the future because you know what your opponent's going to do. You can win a lot of games if you know what's going to happen in the future, right? And it comes in three things. First thing is you eliminate rational thought and reason. So the way your brain works is it keeps you from reacting fast for various reasons, one of which is a foes, which I'll talk about. The second one is the hormonal changes, all right, that speeds up your ability to handle incoming stimuli faster, faster processing time. And, you know, when you see people firing up, all right, we'll talk about emotional swapping and ramping. You need to self-generate some of these chemicals in your brain in order to allow you the hormonal changes that will allow you to process faster. Okay, that's why people fire up. That's why they slap hands. That's why they chest bump. That's why they hit themselves. Cart used to hit himself in the head. He was trying to get his brain chemicals working really well. Okay, then you focus. All right, focus. When you focus and concentrate, that lowers the amount of things your brain is working on. And again, it's something you have to practice. It lowers the number of things that your brain is working on, and it allows you to basically, again, it's a temporal perspective, but it appears as if things are slower, or you're able to react to them faster, which is the same thing, right? So if you have a faster reaction time, it's as if time is slower, and that is what happens. All right. So these are some tools you need. All right, and I spoke briefly about them last time, but I'm going to speak more in depth this time. All right, but you need to push through. All right, a lot of these are crutches. Okay, am I light? Can you see me? It doesn't matter. I'm talking. Yeah, probably. I think it's just sunny now. Just the sun came up. Right, but you need to push through these because these are crutches, okay? The point of what these things are is the end state you want to get to, all right? It's what you're trying to achieve through them. It's not it's not the actions that are happening. It's how, again, the goal of sport is to win, period, all right? This is either going to help you win or not. What is a part of it that's going to help you win? So I'm going to talk about some of these things, not as they're traditionally practiced, say like yoga or meditation, right? The way they practice them is different than the way we're going to use them as professional athletes. Okay, so the first one would be visualization. All right, there's two types of visualization you have to do. One is in general, like, yeah, I want to be a beach volleyball player. I want to win. So you imagine yourself playing. You imagine yourself a professional athlete. You imagine yourself in the competition, and you imagine yourself doing well. Okay, winning. You know, getting. Dream about putting a gold medal around your neck. Dream about hitting that last set. Like the roar of the crowd. And specifically, if as you're visualizing, you visualize yourself failing, that needs to be removed. I had somebody that I was speaking to, he goes, "Oh yeah, every time I visualize myself failing." I said, "No, like let's try to visualize you succeeding, right?" So if you need to do it consciously at first, right? Okay, this time I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to visualize myself winning. I'm going to visualize myself with my arms above my head, cheering because I won the contest. Again, your brain needs to build. This is that mental map I'm going to get to, which could be distorted in some ways for various reasons. All right. And then you want to also visualize specifically, and again, it depends on the sport. I'm talking beach volleyball here, but this could be used generally for any sport, is that you are going to specifically, like you're going to, again, visualize setting the ball on a perfect spot when it's out of system. You're going to visualize yourself crushing the ball off the guy's hands. You're going to visualize yourself doing perfect shots. So you're going to visualize individual actions. And again, the point is that you are shifting your mental map, you are shifting your focus and awareness, you are doing these affirmations, so you're becoming more aware of what you need to do. That's the point. Okay, so you don't have to do these things constantly. I mean, some sports like swimming, Michael Phelps was a master visualizer, but that's swimming. Like you're doing all the strokes, you gotta like visualize doing it all the time. Again, volleyball, you only have to get to that level. Again, volleyball is great because you only have to get so strong. You only have to get so fast. You only have to jump so high. You only have to pass so well, right? It's volleyball. It's not like indoor. Indoor, you have to really pass specifically to a spot because they're running, the middle. But volleyball, you kind of got to put it up in front of you. It's good enough, right? So the same thing with this stuff. The moment you're sort of visualizing success, you're good to go, right? You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. What's next? Belief. All right, you got to believe you can win. You got to believe you can improve because you can. All right, you have to have faith in yourself. All right, you have to have faith in yourself because The sports challenge us in many ways. One of the ways they challenge us is you lose a lot. Okay. I'm the winningest player in the history of the sport, right? Number one, and I lost more than I won. Okay. I lost more tournaments than I won. Right, which tells you that you're going to lose more than you're going to win, and that can get you down. Right, nobody likes to win, and even if you say it doesn't matter, all these people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, win or lose, it doesn't matter." It does affect you, and we know that it affects you on a psychological level, and affects you on a serotonin level basis, or your serotonin levels decrease, and that's bad. Right, your nervous systems get affected by losing. They get damaged. Actually, you get damaged by losing, which is why a lot of people don't want to engage in sports. All right, it's psychologically, and you wouldn't even know it that it happens. So part of being an athlete, part of being an elite athlete is learning to overcome some of these damages that occur within you, right? They say in baseball, if you fail 7 out of 10 times, you go to the Hall of Fame, right? It's kind of the same concept. Sports that have failure at their center people tend to like because they want to see human beings overcome these sorts of failures. And that's what you're doing. You can believe in yourself. All right, have faith in yourself. Like I said, use affirmations. Like I'm going to serve perfectly. All right, I'm going to serve perfectly this game. I'm going to serve awesome this game. Or I'm going to serve 3 aces this game. Right? Believe in yourself that you can, and because you can. Right? It's just simple like telling yourself. And again, these things I'm telling you out, you don't have to spend 8 hours a day visualizing or believing. Just constantly remind yourself of like that. Hey, I can get better. Boom. That's it. It's all you need to say. Right? It's not a whole host of things that you need to do and a lot of time you need to put in. The next thing is relaxation. All right. If you know this drill, it is a great drill. You need to learn how to relax when you're playing a sport because you can't be tense. Right. What you do is you lie down on the ground or on a bed or whatever. You breathe. Right. You begin to relax. All right. So you say, I'm gonna relax. And you start with your fingers and you tell your fingers to relax. And then you tell your hands to relax. And then you tell your arms to relax, right? You move all through your body. Start at the top of your head, relax your face, relax your neck, relax your shoulders, relax your torso, relax your legs, relax your toes. All right. And when you start out, it's not going to work. You're going to do one arm, and you're going to start on the next arm, and the right arm's going to be unrelaxed. Again, it's okay. Okay. Everything I'm telling you is it's okay that you're not going to be able to do it either from the beginning or well. All right. That's where people get discouraged. They get discouraged because it doesn't work right out of the way. And what I'm telling you is 100% guaranteed to make you better and to get you to the elite level. All right. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. All right. It takes time and effort. All right. You just keep at it all the time. And eventually you'll turn around and you're like, wow, where I came from and where I am now. So when you start this relaxation, if you did it to now, you're like, Ken, I've been doing it for a week. I can't relax. I'm like, well, no shit. It's going to take you a year or 2 years, maybe. The point is, working on it is all that it takes. I'm going to tell you something about how the human brain works, how people work, and how they self-assess themselves and whether they're doing right. When you start out doing something and you're not that good at it, you don't realize how bad you are. Like I can tell, even on professional athletes, that they're bad. Like they're not playing the game very well, right? Even other levels. Like I know, right? But they don't know, right? It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't know what you don't know. So most athletes or athletes that aren't at the elite level don't know that they're bad. So what happens when you're trying to train to get better? So let's imagine you want to get better at something. All right, you're working hard, you're working hard, you're working hard. At a certain point, this happens with every athlete or every person trying to do something. They get to some point where they're like, I'm not getting any better. I'm just not getting any better. Like I should just quit this. And this is what's happening with the human person. It's really interesting. It's really neat. If you really understand this, you'll be able to just blast through these things. Okay. What's happening is your awareness of how bad you are is increasing. Okay. Not how bad you are. All right. You got that? It's your awareness that you're not doing it correctly, which is expanding. Okay. So here you are. You're bad at it and you don't know you're bad at it. You begin working, you get better, you get better, you get better. But at the same time, your awareness of how far you have to go keeps getting even larger. So it appears to you like you're not getting better. But from an outside's perspective, so if we were to videotape you, for example, like passing, we're going to work on your passing or some other skill, and we're going to get you better at that. You're going to think you're not getting any better. But if I were to show you videotape of where you were and where you are now, you're vastly better. It's your thinking that you're not getting better that is change. That is the problem, right? You don't think you're getting better because you're aware now of how bad you are, all right, and what more you need to work on. And you gotta a coach can help you to say like, look, you're doing great, you're getting better. But that is an incredibly important thing to understand is you're taking yourself from here to there, because again, if you don't understand that concept that's happening within you, you're going to think you're not getting better. You're going to get discouraged, and you're going to stop or try something else, and then you're going to be flitting between, oh, this program says it's going to work. This program is going to say it's going to work. This relaxation technique. This relaxation technique. Okay. So my point with the relaxation, and it's back to all part is as you train to relax yourself, you're going to realize how unrelaxed you are, right? You're going to realize how stressed you are, how tight you are, right? Your awareness of how bad you are is going to increase faster than your ability to relax yourself. Okay. So my point is don't give up. Keep going. Trust me. Just do what I told you. Just tell your finger to relax. Tell your arm, just work down the body parts. All right. And if something gets unrelaxed, just at the beginning, don't worry about it. Work the whole body. Then we're like after a while, then maybe like, all right, I'm going to go back to the arm and then work back on the torso. Okay. You know, you go on. God, that's great. Right. We had to go to experts. We had to go to like the meditation center, the relaxation center. Then the person told you, now you can just go online and do it. Anyway, what is the next one here? Meditation. Awesome. Meditation. Okay. This is, all right. So when you're meditating, again, I am not, I'm not giving you expert advice on meditation. That's different. What I'm doing is how are we going to utilize it for elite professional sports? And the key is that what you are working on is what the yogis called the vritti, okay, the vritti, or the whirlpool in your mind. All right, I'm not going to get into it, but your mind is constantly sending you stimuli, signals, thoughts, feelings, worries. All right, the way your brain works is it's constantly sending stuff. It's like a volcano spewing crap all over your brain. Now your conscious brain works to sort of get it going, or get it in the proper direction so you don't go nuts. All right, that's if you just were going off your unconscious brain, you go nuts. All right, it's God, how would I say this? It's all right. One of the reasons why you dream, they think, is that your brain never shuts off. You're just asleep. So what you're dreaming is that's your brain just continuing to work all night long. And when you get up, you have you have your frontal brake, which gets you to manage through the world, but your brain is still firing up. That's why you get upset, you get angry, you get happy randomly. You know, you forget this, you forget that, you get worried about this, you worry about that, because your brain is constantly sending this stuff. And what meditation does is, what we're going to do is we're going to work on this vritti, this whirlpool, all right? And we're going to do two things, right? We're going to do two things. We're going to make it so that it doesn't affect us, right? So the thoughts, feelings, things that happen are not going to affect our athletic performance, all right? So if we have anxiety, it's not going to affect us passing, all right? There's no reason why, if you're anxious, it should affect your arm, right? If you're feeling tired, it doesn't matter. That's fatigue is an emotion. Fatigue is an emotion. I went over that with the central governor theory in the first video. Go watch it. But fatigue is an emotion. So we are going to not allow our thoughts, feelings, this and that to affect our athletic performance. And second of all, what we're going to do is we're going to use our minds for what we want. We're going to reorder it so that it works in our favor. Okay, and I'm going to teach you how. There's two ways to do meditation. One is called cataphatic. One is called apophatic. All right, cataphatic and apophatic. One uses word, sounds, and images. Okay, so you're using word, sounds, and images, and we'll go through them all. The other one is the emptying. Apophatic is the emptying of the mind of words and ideas. Okay, until ultimately what you want to do is you want to what's called rest in the presence of God, right? That meditation is a religious practice. You don't have to be religious. It doesn't matter. I'll explain later on. If you're not religious, just hold on for a second. But so one is using words, sounds, and images, right, to meditate. Because again, when you focus on a word or a sound or an image, you forget all the other crap that's bubbling up in your brain, right? And when you empty the mind and what's called rest in the presence of God, these things just fly by you and it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother you. So you're ignoring it, or not even, it's not cognitive. You're not seeing it, so you're not worrying about it or processing. The other one is you're just not worrying about it. Right. Okay. So when you first start meditating, you're going to find that your mind is constantly churning. All right. Your mind is constantly churning like a boat in the middle of the storm. It's what I told you about. The moment you stop and focus on your breath and like, I'm going to meditate, you realize your brain just doesn't shut off. Like I said, it's like a boat in the middle of a storm, and that is perfectly normal. Okay, what we're doing as elite athletes is we're gonna organize this. We're gonna get this boat, and we're gonna get it sailing down the ocean to where we want it to go, the port. All right. So over time and practice, this churning, all right, this vritti is gonna subside. All right, the endless stream of thoughts. All right, the endless stream of thoughts, ideas, and feelings will begin to stretch out. All right, so they'll begin to stretch out and become less intense. All right, so like at first it's like a bunch of boats on a river, like boats climbing all over of each other, like everybody trying to get down the river, banging into each other, all that. That's your mind right now. When you meditate, those thoughts, feelings, everything's going to start spreading out, right? Like a boat. So you're just going to spread out, and you're going to barely notice them. You're going to be like on the side of the river, and these things are going to float by easily. It's not going to. That's the imagery that occurs when you begin to meditate. First of all, your mind is going to get calmer, right? You'll have relapses, of course. You'll have relapses. You'll be back on the boat in the storm, bouncing around. And again, that is fine. That is perfectly normal, right? Keep at it. Keep at it, and eventually you'll realize that you don't need the meditation. You just need the awareness. Okay. Again, we're going to get into awareness, but you don't need the meditation. You could do it. You can use it. You can become a meditator. You don't need it. All you need to do is recognize when you're on the boat in the storm and when you're on the side of the river with the boat spread out and the thoughts spread out. That's it. And just move from one to the other. All right, here's some examples. The yogic example, you can do the hum psalm, right? You breathe om, you breathe psalm, and you focus on your breath and the mantra, right? All right, so that is where your focus is. And you focus on your breathing, you're focused on the mantra, and then your thoughts, feelings, emotions, all that will then come to, you won't notice them. For your Catholic, if you're Catholic out there, the rosary does the same thing. Like if you practice the rosary, this is your meditation, you become a better beach volleyball player, especially if you imagine the mysteries, right? So they have the different mysteries on the different day. So as you're doing the rosary, if you imagine the mysteries, it'll have the same effect. Now you can go Zen, you can go Zazen, right? That's another type of meditation, which is really good. All right. In this case, right, that's an apophatic one. So the first one I gave you, the yogic one, is a cataphatic. All right, so the Zazen is it's you notice, okay, you notice all these things. So you're on the boat in the storm, and you're noticing the rain hitting you, you're noticing the lightning, the thunder, you notice the boat tossing around. All right, you just let the thoughts, feelings, and what else just pass, as I said, right, without thought or judgment. So you're not worried that you're on a boat in a storm and you might capsize, you might die. Just that's a little extreme, but you know what I'm talking about. Is you just don't like so you sit there, right? You sit Zazen, right? However you want to, you sit in a comfortable chair and you close your eyes and you just notice, all right, right now my shoulders are a little tight, my butt's kind of hurting from sitting. I got to go to the bathroom, and that's fine. And there's noise outside, and I can, it's a little cool in here. So you begin to notice all these things that are going on. You notice the thoughts and the feelings that bubble up. You just don't focus on them. Okay. You just don't have judgment on them. Right? You don't be like, oh, I'm worried about this. Just let it go. Like let yourself go without judgment. And there's plenty of resources in there. The Beginner's Mind. What's that book? Oh, do I have it here? Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind is a great one. All right, because your goal is to achieve the state of no mind, as they say. So no mind. When you're out there playing, when you're at the elite level and you're playing, you're not thinking about anything but the serve, where you're going to hit the ball. Like you're really well focused. Like as I said in many videos before, I could be playing in front of 12, 15,000 people. They could be screaming and yelling. I don't notice them. I don't notice them. So if Star Trek were to like beam them away and they're instantly gone, or like, what is the guy? And whatever the Marvel guy who did the blip, and like if they just disappear, wouldn't notice until the end of the game, because I'm so focused. My thoughts are all in the right line and everything's working correctly. That I'm not worried about yesterday, today. I'm not feeling anxiety. I'm not feeling anything. And not that I'm not feeling anything, but if I'm tired, whatever, if it's hot, whatever, it just doesn't register as anything important. Right? Like I said, it's like sitting there on the side of a hill and boats are going by in a river. You don't care what the boats are, what's in them, or what's going on with them. Things just going on. All right. Now, again, you don't need to become a Zen master or a yogi unless, of course, you want to. Feel free. Unless like it's your intention. Your intention is plenty enough. Right? It's your intention to do these things, to sit there, to notice things without judgment. That's all it takes is an intention. All right. That's the way the brain works. The moment you just say, I want to do this, and you keep at it, it works. It works on a level that you're not even cognizant that it's happening. right? And then the ultimate thing, what I think, all right, those are the crutches I'm talking about, and they work. When somebody says to me, "Should I meditate?" I'm like, "Of course," but you don't need it, right? It's what you want is like what's called centering meditation, right? What's called centering meditation, or for Catholics, it's called what's it called? Contemplative prayer, no, or contemplative prayer, all right? And it works like this, okay? This is one of those where you're just going to uh, you're going to come into a silence, in a peaceful state of silence, where you're just the all this vritti, all the thoughts just they instantly disappear. It's like I talked about. It's the state you need to be in elite athletics. You'll eventually disappear. And how it works is this: you first of all you find a quiet space where you're unlikely to be disturbed. So you need silence. Okay. And then you sit in a way that allows your body to be relaxed, all right, but alert. Okay, so you're relaxed but alert. Right, so you use a chair, right, or a meditation cushion, or even a prayer rug, whatever you want to use. All right, so this is what you do. So you gently close your eyes, and you're going to do this for about 20 minutes. All right, so you gently close your eyes, and this is sort of a quote. Again, you don't need to be religious at all. Um, so what you do is so this is ready for this one. Allow your heart to open toward that invisible but always present origin of all that exists. Okay, so you're just going to open your heart to the universe, to the world, to everything, right? Just an open, right? You're going to just be open to this experience, into what we're going to do here. All right. Now, whenever you become aware of a thought, all right, no matter what it is, let it go. Right. No matter what it is, you're not going to focus on the thought. You're not going to not focus on the thought. You're not going to be like, don't focus on the thought. You're just going to let it go. All right. But what can help is what's called a sacred word. All right. You use a sacred word. All right. It's a word or a short phrase that helps you let go of the thought. So if you find yourself thinking about a thought, you use your sacred phrase, right, to bring you back to the center, to the centering thing. All right. All it is, it's a reminder. It's the reminder of your intention to remain open in the silence. Okay. So you use your sacred word, and it's like, it's not, you don't like, it's not a mantra. So you're not like saying this over and over again. It's like a feather. It's like a feather falling on a cushion, right? That's as intense as you want to be with your sacred word, right? Like a feather falling on a pillow. It's that much. Just be like, whatever words is. So the sacred words can fall into two categories. They can be religious, like, God, Abba, Jesus, Mary, come to me, Lord, whatever. Because again, religion works on the same thing as what I'm talking about here. It's the same part of your brain. All right. You could use state words, all right, such as love, peace, or be still. Right. So imagine you're sitting there, and you're silent, and you're there, and a thought comes up, and you just say, like, be still. All right. You go back to your center. Um, uh, right? It's just the gentle reminder, your intention to remain open. Right. So if you find yourself drifting or losing focus or attaching to a thought or feeling, do not react. All right. Do not react, but gently, all right, return to your sacred word. All right. Again, you practice this for 20 minutes, and at the end, just get up and go about your business. Leave the practice behind. You don't have to think about it. Again, 20 minutes a day is not that much. All right. And it's this practice, this is a profound practice, and it has its source in many of the world's great traditions. All right. If you're a Christian, you'll find it in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, right? But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you, right? So Matthew 6, 6, go into your room, be silent, rest in the presence of God. It can be found in the teachings of the great Buddha and obviously the master yogis, right? And again, as I said, if you're not a religious person, it's wonderful. It's fine. All right. Just sit in profound silence. And here, this is what I found for you guys. So silence truly is golden. All right. One of the most beautiful meditations in the world is to focus on pure silence. All right. Silence is infinite. It expands across space and time. When you meditate on silence, you expand your consciousness to stretch out across the cosmos. All right. That's a beautiful thought too. Right. And expand your consciousness. So you're stretching yourself like one with the universe, one with all things, one with nature, all that stuff. So again, once you do that, all this vritti, remember we started with vritti, right? The whirlpool, all the things, and now we're like one with the universe, cosmos, calm, resting in the presence of God. You'll notice it. You'll notice it, and you'll never want to not go back there. And in an athletic contest, right? That's the state you are going to need to get in to perform at the elite level. Right? And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to meditate. You just go straight there. You just go straight there, and shut your mind off. Keep your mind, like relaxed but open. Or excuse me, yeah, but like you're just not thinking about these things. All right. Like let me give you like a thought of how this works in terms of your conscious unconscious. Because what's happening is your unconscious mind is just a bunch of room full of junk, and your conscious mind is trying to organize it all. And it's just, it's like all the distractions from your unconscious mind keep trying to knock on your conscious mind. I grew up in Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles on the coast, and when I was a kid, I go to the beach and I would go surfing a lot, and I go body surfing a lot. And it's the concept of a wave. And if have you ever surfed in the ocean or been in the ocean? Like if you stand up and try to take a wave, like full on, you're getting knocked over, and you'll go in what we call the washing machine. So you'd be, you'd gut up and you'd hit the ground and you'd sand everywhere and your hair would be messy. You'd wind up on the shore. That's what happens when you try to take on the wave, right? That vritti, that whirlpool, when you try to go head on against all these things in your brain. But what you can do actually is you actually dive under the wave, no matter how big the wave is or how strong it is. If you dive under the wave at the bottom, right, on the sand, there's a spot, there's a space, there's a very, very small space, which the water is completely calm, right? Underneath this giant wave that is breaking, that if you were, a few feet higher, would send you tumbling up onto the shore, is a completely an amount of calm water. All right. When you see a wave coming, you simply dive under the wave, you sit in the calm water on the bottom, and the wave just passes over you, right? All the waves just pass over you, right? You come up for breath, obviously, but that's kind of where you're going. So all this stuff is happening. This ocean, these waves are just you're churning and going on, but you're underneath it all, or away from it all, in the calmness of the water below. All right. So now we are going to move into mental strength and mental balance, right? Now, here's the problem. So that was just really nice, Ken. The whole thought on meditation, the whole, talking about the waves and the vritti and, the calmness, the water, and I'm one with the universe. Now we're going to talk about mental strength and mental balance. And now we're going to learn how to kick the shit out of some people, because we're competitors, and you need to have mental strength in order to kick the shit out of your competitors. But wait, Ken, I'm confused. Like, weren't we talking about all this neat stuff, all this vritti, all the yoga masters and the Zen masters and one of the universe, and now you're telling me we're going to kick some people's ass? Yes, that's right. We're human beings, and this is athletics, and this is the yin and yang of life. All right. So now we're going to learn how to go out there and beat the crap out of some people. All right, using our mental, right, physical, mental, emotion, or mind, body, spirit. We did the spirit just now. And we're gonna use other parts of our humanity to win the athletic contest. Again, what's the goal? The goal is not to be one with the universe. The goal is to win. The goal is to win, period. All right. So right, there's a lot written on mental strength, mental stuff, and it comes down to two things. Right. It literally really comes down to two things, and that is, one, that nothing from your mind is going to detract or distract from your performance. Right. Now, we talked about it with the meditation, the relaxation, from an emotional and a spiritual sense, right? How the thoughts, feelings are coming up, right? This is more like your body. Remember I told you the central governor theory. Your body will keep you from elite performance. It will try to shut you down. It will bring pain to get you to stop. There's safety mechanisms within your body that are continually operating to get you to stop elite athletic performance. All you have to do is unhook those, and your performance will increase dramatically. That's the first thing you see when you're working with athletes, is you gotta release these things, and you just burst another. So the two keys of mental strength is that nothing in your mind is going to distract you or detract you from your goal. You're going to go kick the shit out of those people, and you're going to win no matter what. All right. The second thing is, when done properly, all right, mental strength or mental toughness is the development of your mind to prove to your body that you can push yourself further than you thought possible. All right. So one, you're not going to let your body affect you. And two, you're going to tell your body what it's going to do. Okay. You get it? Your body's not going to stop you from doing something, and you're going to tell your body what you want it to do. That is mental toughness in a nutshell. All right. And then you just keep going and pushing. All right. You keep telling your body what to do. You keep telling your body, like, you just don't listen to your body when it's telling you to stop, and you just keep pushing. And push is the wrong word. Right? Push is the wrong word. You're not pushing. All right. I always told everybody like this: it's not about working hard. All right. That's wrong. It's about working right, correctly. But it's also about a switch. It's a switch in your brain. All right. So you don't push. All right. You don't push and push. You realize that it's an illusion, and that your body is sending you to get you to stop doing what you're trying to do. And that's what elite sports does. Elite sports challenges us in certain areas, whether it's fear, anxiety, pressure, heat, exhaustion. Did I say pain? Yeah, let me say pain 3 more times, because your body will send you pain, which is an illusion. Pain is an illusion. You're not actually in trouble to get you to stop what you're doing. Right? Sure, if you break your leg, there's going to be pain, but that's not what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying is it's a switch. You switch off the part of your brain, or the part of you which listens to the part of your brain which is telling you to stop, and you switch into that six where you realize your body and you can do more than you think. Right. The classic example I've used before is the Navy SEALs. All right. The United States Navy SEALs are elite special forces. They have Hell Week where they don't let them sleep for 6 days, but they still have to operate as special forces operators, paddling boats and running and fighting, whatever, assaulting beaches. And they do it for the express purpose to show them that you don't need to sleep in order to function correctly, right? It's an illusion that you need to sleep every night. You can't go for 20 days, but it proves the fact. So the moment you switch that off and know that you're capable of doing far more than you could ever imagine, right? You're capable of doing far more than you can ever imagine. Bam, that is what the mental strength and the mental toughness is. All right, so a part of it is, all right, let's go through the individual things here. And I've talked about this before. All right. So first of all, you have to have the right mindset, okay? Before you even start with some of these things, and the right mindset, you have to have discipline, right? You have to be disciplined, which means you have to work every day. You have to, eat well. You have to not screw around, party too much, have fun, of course, but you have no addictions like that. You have to have discipline. You need to stay positive. You have to be optimistic, okay? Generally optimistic. You can't be expressive. You have to be patient, right? Things take time. Good things take a long time. All right. So be patient in your practice, be patient in your training, be constantly trying to get better. 2% on a few things that takes a little bit of time to add up. 20%, a little bit easier, 10% too. But that 2% is going to take a little bit of time. You have to be patient. You need to be calm. All right. Always be calm. All right. And again, you got to know what you're going to do. Mental strength and the right mindset is knowing the strategy, right? Watching the tape, understanding what I've talked about in terms of the chain, and then it's, of course, to push yourself both physically and emotionally. All right. So the first thing is you have to love the game and the competition. You gotta want. Yeah, everybody wants to be a professional athlete because they might want the money, they might want the lifestyle, they might want the adoration. But do you really love the game? Do you really like the actual core of the game and what it is? Okay, because you're not actually a professional athlete. Okay, that's wrong. What you are, you have to not just love the results of what comes from being a professional athlete. You have to love the process itself, right? You gotta love practice and all that, the game and all that surrounds it. Right? That means you have to like to travel. All right, you have to be like the waiting. Okay, they don't pay you to play; they pay you to wait, as they always say. All right, you have to like the hotel rooms. Right, you have to like time away from your family. You gotta love it, as a matter of fact. Like you hear guys going, "Oh, I have to spend so much time on the road away from my family." I can tell you, if those are your thoughts, you're not going to be a very good professional volleyball player or good athlete at all. Not that you want to be away from your loved ones, but that's the game. Do you love it or not? I mean, you get to experience, you get to travel. Trust me, most people in life don't get those experiences, so you might as well like it. Of course, being in a hotel or being in an airport or for long periods of time can be problematic. But what are you going to do once you do something, right? There's a lot of, when you're an athlete, you have a lot of downtime. You might as well fill it with something, learn a skill, or learn something else, or get ready for your after volleyball career. Take classes at school. Put down the music and the freaking TikTok videos and all the stuff which is just entertaining you, and try to better yourself. Try to do something. If you think you want to be a coach after, start learning what it means to coach while you're a player. If you want to be a broadcaster, start getting your communication skills going. Whatever it is the point. The point is, like, I love thinking about when I was a player and the travel I got to do and the hotels and the people I got to be around and the experiences I got to experience. And yeah, there's downsides to everything, but again, it's loving the game and the competition and loving being a professional athlete, right? And again, you're not a professional beach volleyball per se, a beach volleyball player per se. You're a professional athlete. All right, you need to act and train accordingly. Okay, it encompasses everything about your life. All right, you're right. So, but more importantly, you're a professional practicer. All right, you are not a professional player. You are a professional practicer. All right, you need to become a professional at training and practicing. Okay, that is what you're actually doing, because you're trying to get better day in and day out in competition out. All right, yeah. So what you want to be, again, is a professional at practicing and training. Get it? All right. professional at practicing and training. It's like a master craftsman, right? You're a master craftsman, you work on your craft, right? You work on your craft endlessly, right? Every once in a while, you might produce a work of art, right? But you practice your craft endlessly. All right. So pressure. I want to be here. That's the point. There's no such thing as pressure. Okay. People ask me if I felt pressure. First of all, I didn't feel, I felt whatever I wanted to feel. And I told myself how to feel. So that's a whole different subject we'll get to in a second. But no, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be in championship moments. I wanted to be in the Olympic Games. I wanted the ball to come to me. I wanted them to serve me. I wanted them to serve me because I want to be the one who won. Right. I loved it. I loved being in the mix. You want to be in the competitive space. You can't wait to get there. And I think about it all the time now where it was, right? Literally, if you do not want to be in the championship moment, that's a problem. And it's a problem with your mental map that we'll work on. We'll get to it. Okay, the next thing is ego death. And the point here is you want your ego to serve you rather than the other way around. Now, this is a complicated thing. I've talked about it in the past, but it has to do with foes, and it's all tied up in human beings and how they are as a species, and what you need to do instead to become a professional athlete. So people will call you conceited, stuck up, you're not humble enough. These are all indications that you're doing your ego right, because you need to get rid of any sort of sense of like, what does it be, shame or wrong or judgment or stuff like that, right? Normally in life, you want to take people's feedback, especially socially, and I'll talk about foes in a second, and you want to take feedback on how your actions affect other people, right, specifically. So how you're doing is affecting other people. Well, you can't be worried about that when you're a professional athlete. You have to be worried about what? What do you have to be worried about? You have to be worried about the goal, and the goal is to win, right? So you redirect your ego in a certain way, like confidence. Confidence. These things bother people sometimes when they come in contact with them. They call you names, which is fine. Doesn't matter. So what they used to do with us, they used to like bully us and haze us and do all sorts of stuff. And they'd say, "You suck, Kent. You suck. You're the worst volleyball player in the history of the planet. I'm going to kick you off this team." And eventually they got to the point where like, I know I don't suck and it doesn't affect me. So you can, it's one of those sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but names will never, sickness, yeah, but names will never hurt me. Like, you can call me whatever you want. Yeah, it's you separate that part out in terms of your ego. You're like, how dare you? You offended me. You hurt my feelings. You made me feel bad. Okay. Do you want to win or not? Do you want to win the competition, or did you worry that someone hurt your feelings? That's the point. Not that it doesn't matter in normal life, and it should. You'll reintegrate that part into you. I'll talk about that. Where is that? It's in compartmentalization. Right? It's in compartmentalization, right? But we're breaking apart who we are as humans, and we're going to reorder them in the way we want to order them in order to succeed at professional sports, right? And this is part of it. So what's next? Ignore foes. So that's fear of social exclusion. I've talked about it before. It's in the other video. Human beings are social animals, and people will use that to get you to modify your behavior. And you need to ignore that in order to become a successful professional athlete, because you are not part of a social group. You are number one, or you're the winner, right? When human beings separate themselves out from the tribe or the herd, certain actions occur on a psychological level between human beings, and it gets very intense and very, very difficult. They'll call you names. They'll say you're this and that, and you have to be like, double fingers. Again, what's the goal? The goal is to win, right? It's not to be the most popular. It's not to be the most liked, the most nice. And you could fool the people. You can compartmentalize, and they'll talk about it. But at the end of the day, you must recognize that when you separate yourself out from the social situation, you will feel differently. And that can affect your performance. And you need to, again, like what we do with everything, we're going to just shut that part off for the time being, not let it affect us, and focus on our goal. And you see it all the time, by the way. Literally, like, this, the athlete should be humble, or he is cocky. He's a blowhard. It's like, whatever. It's hilarious. All right, what's next? All right, they must prove they're better. Yeah, I love this one. Like every time you go out there and compete, doesn't matter who it's against. It doesn't matter if it's the Vikings, the Swedes, the number one player. Like you make them prove that they're better than you. Right? That's the only way that you can operate. That's the only path to success. Because what happened in the past doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the future, and who you were in the past is not who you are now. but especially as you're moving up the ladder. And I talked about this and I wrote about this. Is when I first got on the tour, I couldn't beat the number one team. They kicked my butt. So the next time I said, all right, I'm going to practice. I'm going to train more hard. I'm going to try to watch more tape on them. And they kicked my butt again. All right. So I said, okay, next time I'm going to keep training, keep practicing. And I got closer and closer and closer. And eventually I beat them. Right. So every time I went out to compete against them, I said, this is the time I'm going to win. This is the time. And if not, okay, good. What did I do wrong? What do I need to do? What do I need to do to get better? Always. You're always trying to get better. And that's the point. So have them prove that they deserve to beat you. Okay. Plus, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're better. The best team doesn't win. Okay. A lot of times, the best athletes, the best teams don't win. All right. So what the does that matter? Who's better? All right. You can steal a win all the time. There's a great book by Brad Gilbert, a tennis player and coach. It's called Winning Ugly. All right, this is a great book, Winning Ugly. He talks about how he was not even close to being a very good tennis player, but he figured out the weasel way of trying to beat teams. And it's a great book of how like he just would steal wins all the time from people. It doesn't even matter if you're not good. All right, the next one, they fucking suck. Yes, I love this one. This is a Derek Jeter quote. So Derek Jeter was the captain of the New York Yankees. He was a multiple World Series winner, Hall of Famer, one of the best baseball players of all time. And the concept, so what would happen was he was always at the top of the order. And, in baseball, you face new pitchers all the time. So he'd come into the dugout and they'd ask him, like, what's this pitcher like? And he was like, he fucking sucks. Okay. I'm going to rip him. All right. He had no fear or anything. He had no, might be like, oh, you should respect your opponents, and we'll get into that. Okay, I'm telling you what Derek Jeter did, and I'm telling you he's right, and he won. So your choice. All right, these are all your choices. Okay, so nothing. He's like, I'm going to rip this guy. This guy sucks. The point is this. This is my point I want to make. Is you are not a fan. Okay, you are not a fan. You're a competitor. Right. So from a fan perspective, like, how dare you? He's a professional pitcher, right? He's great. Like uh, that's it's a difference between seeing the sport from the top down or from the bottom up. Okay. When you're a fan looking at the bottom up, everyone is great. Everyone's amazing. They're professional athletes. How dare you say something about it? But when you're in the top, when you're looking down, like no, they actually do suck. I mean, number one player, by the time you get to 5 or 6, they're not that good. But that's a different story. The point is, it's not a matter of respect. You're trying to beat them, right? You're trying to kick the shit out of them. And it's not about whether you respect them or not. It's about what's your feelings, beliefs, thinking are towards them, right? They're not that good, right? I know as fans, and you out there who have never experienced a sport at an elite level, you think they're good. But from my perspective, at elite level, they fucking suck, all right? And I'm going to beat the shit out of them. If I don't, it's a problem because I should. You get it? All right. It's different from where we are sitting. All right. And I can tell you, I've seen it. I've watched tape. I've watched tape of some of the best beach volleyball players, both men and women, and they fucking suck. All right. You can get up there right now and you could beat them. They have tendencies and tells. They don't move very fast. They're not as good as you think they are. Like, you think they're great. Right. But I was a professional athlete. I was at the top of my game. I see a lot. All right, let me put it this way. I see a lot in there that I could exploit, I could expose, and I could use to win. You get it? That's my point. My point is, again, we are removing our perspective from one situation to another. So we're moving our perspective from a fan from the bottom up and changing our perspective from the top down. All right. You are going to exploit their weaknesses. You're going to find out where they suck and where they don't, and you're going to use that to beat them in an athletic contest. Because again, there's only one goal here. This is an athletic contest. That is it. This is not life. This is not anything. It has nothing to do with respect. Okay. That's a dumb word anyway. What does it even fucking mean? All right. What does it mean? Like, of course you like whatever. Like, that's not the point. The goal of sport is not to respect. Okay. Whatever that means. The goal of sport is to win the athletic contest. And you do that by shifting your mental state and shifting how you think about the contest. All right. Winners think differently about the competition. They train differently and they experience the competition differently. This is just one example. All right. So everybody out there, you know what? Don't suit up. You got a better idea? I'll tell you what, you suit up, you go out there and hit balls. And when you win, when you become the number one player in the world and a gold medalist, you tell me how you did it. I'd love to hear. Maybe you have some help for us. All right. Competitive greatness. That's right. Competitive greatness is being at your best when your best is needed, but it's even more than that. It's a love of wanting to be there. Okay, you're like a dog on a bone. You want to get there and you want to play good. And it's funny. I used to talk to the kids that I coached, young kids, and I tell them, I'd say, go out and enjoy the finals. Like I get my teams up to the little, the 10-year-old girls softball championship. And I said, I want you to go out there and have the best time of your life because you don't get to play in that many championships. But you don't get to play in that many championships. You might as well enjoy it when you're there. Okay. Like, don't get nervous. Don't get worried. Like, yes, it's a championship, but enjoy it because you don't get to play. I don't only got to play in one Olympics. I had the best time of my life. Actually, at one point, I wasn't having a good time. That's why we were almost lost. But eventually, I said, I'm going to have the best time of my life because I don't think I'm ever going to play in the Olympics. And I was right. So I had a great time playing the Olympics. I loved the competition. I loved everything about it. And I won. And this one girl told me, this one girl, one time I told her that she didn't listen to me and she got it. She's like, I was worried. I was nervous. I didn't listen to what you said. She came up to me like a year or two later and she goes, you know what, coach? Candy, I did what you said. I said, I don't get to play in that many championships, so I'm going to have a fun time. And she said, I had the greatest game. I played the best game I ever played, and we won. I go, there you go. So competitive greatness isn't just being at your best. It's truly enjoying being there in the process. All right, awareness. All right. So it's not just awareness. Again, this is completely comprehensive, and feel free to take it in chunks and come back to it. This is my, sort of my opus here of going through stuff. And again, this is it. We're January 1. You're going to go and start doing this stuff. Now, awareness, it's not just awareness of all it's awareness of all that's happening around you, right? It's things like the wind, all right, which direction the wind is coming from. It's an awareness of what your opponents are doing, all right? Let me give you an example. Like St. John used to do the sky ball, all right? And whenever he did the sky ball, I knew he was trying to change the sort of how the game was going because he was losing, all right? So when he did the sky ball, I said he thinks like he needs to change something because I'm beating him, and that gave me like added confidence to win. All right, so I was like, awesome. He knows he's in trouble. Things like one time he would athletes do all these tricks, right? They have all these tricks in their sleeves to try to delay or try to get in your brain or try to do this and that. And sometimes like my partner coach would go nuts sometimes when St. John would do his stuff, and other players did it as well. Like he would just go, wow, he'd start screaming because I go, coach, don't let it get into your head. The more it gets in your head, the more he's going to do it. Like one time he purposely ripped up the lines because he was trying to stall. Right, so he's losing. He's trying to stall, and he ripped up the lines on accident. Oh, and I could have gotten mad. I couldn't get upset, but I knew what he was doing. I was like, okay, you have to stall in the game because I'm kicking your ass. I'm just going to keep going and doing it. Right. There is a great. Well, I won't tell you about that. But anyway, the point is you have to be aware of what's going on. And it's Hobb would yell at the refs, or players yell at the refs. You can't do that now internationally. But these are the refs because they're trying to shift the energy in the game. They're trying to shift the energy, but they're trying to shift the energy because they need to shift the energy because they're in trouble. All right. So it's being aware of all that's going on, not just how you're playing, what the environment is, but what's going on in the game. And it's also being aware of the people involved. Some refs are dicks. Okay. Some refs have it out for you. There's actually a great Netflix series now about one of the NBA refs, how he was gambling because he knew which refs didn't like which players. That happens. Okay. The administration and the tour officials, right? The governing bodies, they want power, they want corruption, they want control over you. It's a tough. If somebody came to me, one of the athlete came to me and said, "Yeah, I'm not going to say who it is or what country." So yeah, my governing body is corrupt. I'm like, yeah, gee, no shit. All right, that's what attracts. That's who gets attracted to those positions. It's the awareness of being able to move through this. All right, it's about the competitors and the mind tricks they're going to play. The media likes to screw with you. Ask dumb questions or like trick questions and things like that. At the end of the day, just have fun with it. Okay, it's a people, it's an environment. It's messy. It's got bad people. All right. Like for example, like if you become a professional athlete, people are going to want to try to take advantage of you and screw you over, right? They're attracted to you as a person. They're attracted to the money that's involved in sports. You get involved with the tyranny of the petty bureaucrat. Like that's the problem that a lot of times with the governing bodies is you get some petty bureaucrat in there. God, there was a story of I'm not even going to tell it, but it was softball. And softball is not a big international sport. It's big in college, which is great, but it's Japan plays and Australia plays, but it's not like beach volleyball or tennis or golf, which have kind of an international presence. So he's in charge of USA softball. Like who gives a shit who that guy is? Because all they do is manage the Olympics. Whoa. And he was just being a dick to one of the women. It was terrible. He was doing it. He got caught out, and it was a funny thing. But that happens. Okay, so just be aware of it. You're gonna deal with an inordinately large number of clowns and incompetence. All right, clowns and incompetence. You are an elite professional athlete, and those around you do not have the same dedication and attempt to be excellent in their craft. Okay, do not be disappointed. All right, and the worst. These are the worst. The worst are the ones who just want to fucking waste your time. All right, they just want to waste your time, and you just need to move. Like, ready, get rid of these people. Just surround yourself with good people, eliminate the and be quick about it. Be quick at it because you're attracting people. That's all I wanted to say about that. Okay, I played all. First of all, I played all the sports, and there's nothing like beach volleyball in the sense I played all the sports. It's like maybe it has to do with how small it is or something like that, right? Because it's so small, you don't get the quality of people you would if it's a big giant sport. And I hate to say that to you people who are involved in it, but you probably wouldn't make it in other sports. So stop being such dicks to people. All right. What's next? Concentration and focus. Yes. Okay. You need to learn to, meditation will help with this, obviously. But again, it's about having like no distractions. All right. And more importantly, no memory. All right. So no memories. Forget about the past. So you're focused and concentrating on the future and what you're doing now, from when you're lifting, when you're watching tape, when you're watching, when you're playing the game. Okay. Everything you're doing when it comes to athletics, again, you're only practicing what 4 or 5 maybe hours a day. The rest of the time you could screw off. But when you're involved in your craft, when you're involved in playing, you need to be concentrated and focused. And the problem is you must build on it because it's exhausting. All right. If you, again, it's back to that starting small and building slowly. It's you have to build it because again, it's exhausting. And here's the key. The biggest key to get is you need to be aware when you are focused and when you're not. Okay. You need to be, and when you're concentrated and when you're not, because you need to recognize it and get back on track. As I say multiple times, the only difference between you and me as a professional athlete, between me as the number one and you, is that I was able to recognize when I was losing focus and losing concentration. I could recognize it quicker and get back on track faster. Right? That's part of this awareness that we're talking about. You have to be aware of when you're focused and when you're not, and get back on track. And you need to then, it's okay. Like, you're going to lose focus, you lose concentration. I did. Everyone does. The question is who gets back on track. All right, then engage the feedback learning mechanism. This is what I'm talking about in terms of hold on here. Mechanical training versus rhythmic power. Your body knows how to do an athletic action if you let it. If you just give it feedback, it will learn. Okay, bottom line. To the extent that you get in the middle of that, you will screw it up. That's why mechanical training is wrong. When you're passing the ball, you do not focus on where your arm is, where your hip is, where your this is. You do not focus on that. You focus on the result you want. All right. So that wall drill I gave you, which you can look up, it has the ability for you to get feedback on how well you're doing. Right. You're trying to bounce the ball off a wall, off of a certain part of your arm, and either you're doing it correctly or not. Right. And don't sit there and worry about where your arm is. Just notice what it is. Your body will do it right. If you continue to say, all right, I need to do it 10 times in a row, and I'm trying to hit a spot on the wall. All right, I missed. All right, hit a little bit closer, right? That's all you're doing is you're telling your body what to do, and you're allowing it to get there. You got that? So same with passing or setting. You are telling your body where you want the set to go or the pass to go, and you're allowing it. All right, you need to have a little trust. You have a little trust in yourself. All right, this is how kids learn to walk. All right, if kids learn to walk the way volleyball players are coached to play volleyball, they never learn to walk. Okay, all right, it's naturally inside you. As long as in every exercise I give you, all right, every drill I give you and exercise I give you has in there this feedback learning mechanism. We know exactly what you're doing wrong and what you need to fix it. And all you need to do is trust your body and trust yourself to do it. And I'll show you that in a second. All right, you got to know the game. You got to know the game. Not just the X's and O's, but the strategy we talked about. We have to know the purpose. You have to know that you're not supposed to be trying to block or dig the ball. That you're trying to be block or dig the ball when they make a mistake or when you should. Okay, what are the keys of the game? Right? What are the challenges? What are the challenges in the game? Right? We talked about one, boredom. Right? That's a huge challenge in the game of beach volleyball. Right? And one of the challenges is repetitive injuries. You're doing a repetitive thing, and you're going to have a repetitive your shoulder and your back and your knees. You're going to have to spend time making sure that your knees and your shoulder are stable and working on exercises to keep them healthy. All right. Fatigue could become a problem. The travel, everyone bitches about the FIVB. Well, tough shit. They're the ones who put on the tournaments, and they're in weird places. Get over it, or don't if you don't like it, well, that's your problem. All right, I would like it. Why the hell not? All right, it's again same thing. Like you have to understand one of the challenges in beach volleyball is vision. Right, you have to see the ball, the block, and the defensive player, and that's not how our eyes work. So you need to train your eyes to see differently. All right, stuff like that. All right, now we're into compartmentalization. Remember what I talked about, oh, Ken, you don't respect the other team, you're this and you're that. Yeah, okay. You're going to compartmentalize your life and your training and who you are as a person. And there's who you are as an athlete and then who you are as in regular life. All right, if you're a combat sport athlete, or if you're a Navy SEAL and want to kill people, you're going to do that in this arena. And then when you get home, you're going to have a different arena, or you're going to have a different sense. So you begin to compartmentalize who you are and put it in its proper spot in the gym when you're practicing. And when you're playing, you're kind of a different person than when you're in regular life, and that's fine. Some people can do these state changes better than others. Some athletes don't do them as well, and some athletes can't do it, which is fine. Again, what's the goal? All right, if you're worried about what people think about you rather than the goal, you're not going to be as successful. All right, but here's a way you can compartmentalize it, and you don't have to talk to everybody. You don't have to tell them what you're thinking and feeling. Like I do. I'm happy to tell you what I thought and felt, and you can judge me how you want. Don't care. Right? Don't care. All right, indifference, non-attachment. This is important. All right, it's critical. It's critical. The meditation will get you there, but it's almost probably the most important thing to learn. It's the most important thing to learn. It's the concept of no mind, the Zen, beginner mind, Zen mind, beginner mind. By the way, beginner mind is back to that kid walking kind of concept. That's the beginner mind, the open learning, all that stuff. It's all the same stuff. It doesn't matter religion, sports, it's all the same stuff. All right, it's about being learning and creative and all that stuff. All right, but the point is, it's not to dwell on things and not to be overly attached to anything. All right, so you're not attached to anything or a result. All right, you're not attached to or you're not dwelling, you're not worried. All right, you're fine, you're anxious, fine, you're nervous, fine, your pressure. Yes, it hurts. You're upset, or somebody didn't treat you well. I mean, just let it go. You're just not. It's just trust me. Like the moment you just let go, give up or not give up, but have that indifference and non-attachment. Like I said, like I know what I'm trying to accomplish in sports, and I know what it takes to get there, and I know what it looks like externally, and I know how people outside are going to judge me, and that's the point. What I don't care, right? First of all, that they don't know what's going on, so their criticisms were invalid anyway, and that's the whole point. Oh, Ken, you're cocky. No, I'm not. I need to be cocky in order to win athletic contests. Oh, we shouldn't have to. Well, you can suit up and try it and tell us how it goes. You tell us how you do it, how you don't have confidence, or that's not how the brain works. It's not confidence or cocky. It's the elimination of the upper brain cortex, jackass, okay, or the upper brain functions, because it affects reaction time, jackass. It comes across as being cocky or confident or whatever, right? Jackass, all right? You don't understand the process that's going on in the brain. So, you know what? Again, it's like letting go. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm not even like that. I'm just like, you don't get it. I don't care. You still think like, the sun is pulled across across the horizons by Apollo and his horses. Good for you. I mean, we've known this now for decades. We've known how the brain works and how the brain works. How when you train for elite athletics, how that appears to people on the outside. Okay. Jesus, it's hilarious. But yeah, so that's it. Don't become overly attached to anything or any result. All right, the past is the past. Who you were before isn't who you're going to be in the future. You're going to get better. And all right, yeah, right. Just again, trust me. What's that? Expand your mental map. God, I'm not gonna be able to go into it as much here because it's so complex from a practitioner perspective. All right, the way you access the person's subconscious, their mental map, is you do what's called a shock induction. So you say something which shocks them. All right, then you do an axiomatic statement, a statement of truth. All right, like you suck. Why aren't you winning? All right, and then what you do is you then access the subconscious part of the brain, and you find out what's going on with their mental map, right? That gives you access to the mental map. And what you find is, so a mental map is a concept, it's from Bandar, right? It's a neurolinguistic program and some other stuff where if we were to project what's going on in your brain up into a screen to see it, different people mental maps are different, right? And some people's mental maps are very robust. There's a lot of detail, there's a lot of color, there's a lot of sound, and some people's mental maps are very distorted. They're not as robust and as expansive. And in some cases, they're black and white. It's loud, clanging music. It's 1 to 2 dimensional versus 3 dimensional. And so what you find in athletes is that there's something wrong in their mental map. They don't believe they can do something, or they don't think this is right, or they have trauma. A lot of times when you work in this area, when expanding your mental map, you pop trauma up, right? So people are kind of putting their trauma and putting layers and layers and layers, and they don't want it to come up, and you pop this trauma up. That's the only way to expand that part of your mental map. And trauma comes from when we're young because we don't understand the world correctly. So we're misinterpreting what's happening to us, basically. And people have power over us, and they're treating us what we appear to be not nice. Daddy and mommy won't let us do X. Well, there's probably a good reason why. But anyway, that sort of implants as trauma. And so when you're working with athletes and you're beginning to expand the mental mind, I say it's like, why aren't you winning? All right, why aren't you winning? And all right, why don't you know why? And if you know why aren't you doing anything about it? That's the first question. Everybody, like, why aren't you winning? A lot of times you find out they don't want to win, or they're afraid of winning, or they're like, that's not important. That's not. Okay. Then what are you doing? So you begin to get into the brain. You begin to start to, again, if there a lot of times right off the bat, you find there's a problem in the mental map that you need to eliminate. Like, if again, it's a very complicated thing that takes an expert to do it. And I just wanted to explain that is when you find athletes that aren't performing correctly, and you begin to talk to them and ask them to explain how they're seeing the world and how they're seeing the competition and how they're seeing themselves, you find that there's a big difference in the mental map of winners and champions versus those that aren't. And it's so easy to correct. It's like refurbishing your house. Okay, if you got a crappy house and slap some paint on it, patch the holes, put in some nice furniture, put in marble countertops, you're good to go. It's a better looking place. And it's the same thing inside your mind. And when you've seen it happen, it's great. All right, so what's next here? Okay, physio, right? You're going to bang up and bruise your body. You're going to have overuse symptoms. You need deep tissue massage. You need that roller thing. It's funny because when I was looking at it, I didn't like the way massage was, and I said, "There's something wrong with this massages. It's not good. It's not right." So I researched, and I found there was something called St. John's method. I don't even know if it's still around, but there was a place where you could learn this method, and I read about it. It was like this neuromuscular release, and I'm not even describing it correctly, but the way they described it was like, as you're competing in your muscles, something happens to your muscles, and something happens, and they have to stick something in your, like their thumb or something, and it hurts really freaking bad. But if you can get it to release and open up, like you have unbelievable benefits. And they say that even if you have an injury in one area, like if you're feeling pain in another area, it could come from a different part of your body. And if you have a problem in this part of your body, it's going to express itself in another part of your body. So they go around touching you, trying to find these spots which hurt really badly. But when they work them over, you get much better. They used to, in order to access the parts of our, rotator cuff muscles in our shoulder, they'd have to enter it through the armpit into the back of the scapula. It was so uncomfortable. But the moment your shoulder released, you got much better movement, and you perform better. Anyway, you need stretching, of course, is needed. Adrian Crooks, right? Your Adrian Crooks that I described before, that's movement in the joints, right? Getting that blood flow and openness in the joints. Not too much openness, right? You don't want to you don't want to be stretching your shoulder out too much, because you don't want that humerus head to ride around. Again, you need a competent trainer to work with that knows Olympic lifting and knows this stuff. They can't be doing these crazy things that they all do. Like all these trainers want to do this new stuff. The human body hasn't changed, right? You tell me what you think you're doing, and we'll tell you what we called it in the past and whether it was the right thing to do. Okay, but you could yoga and similar things like that. And again, you don't need to become a yogi unless you want to. Okay, unless you want to, feel free. Just a basic class. All right, just a basic class. And what you're learning, again, you're taking it for sports. Okay, not necessarily to be a yogi. And what you're learning to do is to be uncomfortable. Now, you're learning to be uncomfortable as you try to breathe, relax, and meditate in the pose. Okay, so you're in triangle pose and you're bent over, and it's been a long day and you're like not breathing well and your mind's going crazy and you can't focus, that's the point. Okay. The point is they get you into these positions and try to get you to, relax and breathe and to like let go. They're really good at it too. And as long as you just do what they're trying to do, is again, it's the intention. All it takes is the intention. All you have to do is try, right? Because more importantly, what you realize is you can't. I think the point of yoga is to show you that you can't do it. Like if you continue to get better and better, they'll just put you in more and more interesting poses. Like, let me give you one that I took in this class. All right. Like, because again, you're in this class and your mind begin to wanders. You're uncomfortable. You're worried about what other people think, and just enjoy it and laugh about it like I'm doing now. But this was hold on a sec. My battery is running low. I have to plug it in. Sorry about this. I have another computer down here. All right. So this was the greatest one. He told us to put a block on our stomach and to lie on the ground. So the block was on the ground, and we lay on top of the block. Okay. Now, what happened was just trauma and craziness just erupted in me. You can try this at home. You just put yourself like, my brains are going, wow, get out, danger, danger, right? Because it's pressing on your organs and you're pressing down on it. It was the most amazing the exercise of how your brain just goes crazy. You're completely okay. Like, I'm in a position I can always just sit up or get up, and it's not that bad. It's just slight pressure on the intestines and some of the organs in there, and my brain just fired off crazily. It just went nuts. Okay. And again, it shows you it's all mental. And anybody who's been listening to me and been following me knows it's just almost all mental. And there's a perfect example, and yoga will show you this. All right, we did scouting. I did scouting on the last video. Again, you need to learn the tendencies and tells. Start ready, January 1. Start watching video. All right, start watching video now on your opponents. Start thinking about your opponents and what they do. All right, the 3 keys to BVB: see the ball, the block of the defense, go late on the block, get into the court. All right. And by the way, back to scouting. The more feedback I get in this, the more people I talk to, they're doing it completely wrong. All right. Everyone's doing it wrong, and they don't know what they're doing. And you can get a huge leg up on people, right now if you begin to chart correctly and look at tendencies. It doesn't. If you're a coach, you want to coach your players better. This is a good thing for you to do too. Oh my God, nobody knows how to do it right. They didn't know when I was there too. Maybe it's just too hard. Maybe it's just too hard. Maybe it just takes a different way of thinking about the sport in order to understand it. All right, so 3 keys to blocking: see the ball, block a defender, go late on the block. We talked about that. Get in the court, defense. We talked about that. All right, Jobs for shoulders. You need shoulder stability as well as joint stability and other joints. We talked about that in the last video. Here's your practice. All right, practice. You're gonna start practice. If you practice this way, you will get better. All right, one team serves 30 balls, then the other team serves 30 balls, then team A serves 30 balls, team B serves 30 balls. Got it? You start out serving 30 balls. Practice your serve. Remember what we talked about in the serving part? Here's where you're going to practice. You're going to practice the various serves in your practice. Are you doing it well? Are you doing it not well? You're on serve receive now. All right. Again, we have our ratios. You need, 30 serves, you need to get 10 points. Okay. You need 10 points. You're going to focus on getting 10 points. Like I said, you're going to get a couple aces, you get a couple blocks, you get a couple defensive players. You're going to work on those 1-2 things like I talked about before, right? On serve receive, we're at a 4-to-1 ratio, which means you're only giving up 6, right? You're going to see the ball, the block of the defensive player. You're going to be correct on the chain. You're going to do everything right. We have feedback, knowing what we're doing, so we can get the learning mechanisms in place to get ourselves to better. Ready? If you are not getting 10 points on 30 serves or siding out 24 times on your serve receive, there's a problem and we need to fix it. And if you're consistently doing it, we need to get you better practice partners, right? Because it never ends. You got it? Everything has this feedback mechanism in it in order for you to learn. We have a little point, big point game, which I explained in the last one, right? One team serves, then the other team serves, right? Doesn't matter who gets the first point, right? One team serves and the other team serves. The only time you get a master point is if you get both, all right? Then we flip, and then this team serves, and then this team serves, right? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to get the 2 points, the correct 2 points to get the master point. You play a game to say 15, all right? What that does is it's training you to focus and awareness on certain series. Like, so if you get a point on your serve, as I said in the last video, you now know if you get this side out, if you get this one, you get the master point. And that little shift in your intention, that little shift in is all your brain needs to be in practicing how to play big points, how to play like crucial points and critical points in a match. Seriously, it's all it takes. Then you play a scrimmage. Like you play one match. That's your practice. All right. If you're doing anything other than this, you don't need. First of all, you don't need to do anything other than this, but this practice against good practice partners. And if you're doing too well, get better practice partners. That is it. Again, you just tell me. I'll go and look at your practice, and I'll tell you whether or not you're going to be a professional beach volleyball player. Period. And I can tell you what you need to do. All right. It's that simple. Again, the second best thing to do. Forget the drill. So I get rid of the fucking drills unless there's like something really wrong with you. And maybe you should do 15-minute drill, 20 minutes a day, max, maybe max a day, a practice, and you only should be Karch and I practice once a week, right? We only practice once a week during the season because that's all we needed. Right? Again, you get to these levels of where you are competent, and you don't need to keep pounding on it. You get as strong as you want. You can jump as high as you want. My arms work correctly. I knew the game. I knew where I was working well in the chain. I knew what my competitors were doing and what they were trying to do to me. And I knew how to execute on big match points and game points. All right, everything I'm describing. All right. The second best thing to do. All right. So do this drill. If you can't do this drill, just scrimmage. All right. Just scrimmage. Find some guys and play, but do it with intention. Do it. Train hard. Don't just go out there and screw around. All right. You don't get as good a feedback on it as my practice that I gave you here is, but again, it's hard because you don't know whether you're not approaching fast enough, stuff like that. So maybe you can videotape it and have somebody look at you. But that's number two. Number three actually is not to play, and then number four is only if there's something wrong with the drill. Again, I mean, I played a bunch of sports. I didn't just play volleyball, and volleyball is the only one which does this mechanical sort of like drilling as the majority of it. And it's wrong. All right, basketball doesn't do it. Football doesn't do it. Like none of the other sports that I played. Soccer doesn't do it. None of them do it. And there's a reason why. All right, you need to be at the speed of sport. Speed of sport. You need competitive sets in your practice. It's called. So you're basically this practice, as I told you in the last video, this practice is an efficient practice. It gets everything done in the fastest amount of time, which is not scrimmage. Kind of doesn't get you, like you don't get to focus on 30 serves and 30 serve receives like this one does, or the master point, minor points kind of stuff. You got to get efficient in your practice, and you got to be able to execute that feedback learning mechanism, right? And that drills do not do it because it's not speed of sport. So, all right, again, if there's something drastically wrong on the chain, again, what are you doing wrong, and what are you going to do to fix it? It should take no time. If you're drilling or doing something, it should take no time. A couple drills, and if you're not getting it, something's wrong, and you better get it fast. But again, you can't say no drills. If someone's doing some mechanical action completely wrong, you have to mechanically change them. But it takes an expert, and it's very hard to do. And most people are not experts, and they overuse it because again, they want to coach. Coaches want to coach. They don't necessarily want their athletes to get better. That's the problem. I gave you the wall drill. It's the video. All right. The balance board. I showed you that with the progression, right? With the last video, right? So there's a progression. First, you start on the balance board. Then you start on the balance board with the ball bumping, and then you balance board back and forth, right? Bouncing the ball. Then you're watching TV. That'll all separate out. All right. Ready? Now, here we go. January 1st. Here is your workout. All right. I'm giving it to you all. This is all. This is me giving it to you all. You are free to disregard it, free not to do it. It doesn't matter to me. This is everything, right? We can start right now. This is your first workout. If you've never worked out before, or even if you have, this is where we're gonna do all the actions. So I gave you everything you need to know to be a professional beach volleyball player and to win. This is a 6-week base building program. If you've never exercised in your life, or even if you have, it doesn't matter. We start small and we build. You got it? So the first thing you need to do is a warm up, all right, with a 10-minute treadmill walking at the gym. All right. So first of all, you're doing plyometrics, you're doing jump training Monday and Wednesday. You're doing lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you're doing on the track Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. And it's January 1st, so you can start today. But if you see this video later, you can go Tuesday to Saturday, but from then on, it's Monday through Wednesday. All right, no excuses. I don't want to hear you had to go. I don't hear any excuses. All right, as a professional athlete, you get your work done. Period. There's no vacation. There's no anything like that. You do vacation in the off season. Again, you've had 3 months to screw around. So you 10-minute walk on the treadmill, and again, just screenshot this and take it back. The first part is a warm-up, and what you see through the 6 weeks is you start a progression in which you're increasing the number of reps on your sets. Okay, this is the first part. Here is your core warm-up. Okay, and again, these are the weights. These are the weights for a male in their 20s. Okay, so modify it to yourself. But what you want, these are warm-up weights. This is a weight you would push if you were warming up with it, like your warm-up set before your regular set. And you're going to see how this is going to work. These are your plyometrics, okay? The jump up a box. You're going to jump as high as you can onto a box. And I did it in the last video, but you have to start at a position and jump up. You don't load down. It's in the other video. You can listen to it. Don't load down, just jump up. This was 36 inches. If you can't do 36, do 30. If you can't do 30, do 24. It doesn't matter. We're going to start. We're going to build. We're going to get better. Okay, jump down. You can jump down off of a box or a small box, like a 12-inch box, and then up as high as you can. Right? You're trying to go as fast. Like you try to jump as high as you can. You step off on the left foot. The next rep, you step off on the right foot. As you can see, you start out doing one set of 3, and by the end of the 6 weeks, you're doing 3 sets of 5. So you start out doing 3, and then you're going to get to 15. You're going to build a great base here. All right, this is, again, the side-to-side box, right? So a 4 feet wide, all right, with a 6-inch high box. All right, if you can't do 6 inches, just do it all on the floor. But you're going to build up. So I'm going to strive. So after this is over on the plyometrics, your next round, you're going to just increase the box heights on everything forever until you get to the place where you need to be. All right, here's your weightlifting. Okay, so some of the weightlifting is going to be done Monday and Wednesday, some of it Monday and Friday, and some of it Wednesday and Friday. Again, take a screenshot. Look, the key here is 30 seconds in between sets. All right, you only do 30 seconds in between sets. In between the individual lifts, you just move on to the next one. All right, you start out, for example, you're going to do a squat. You're going to do 3 sets of two squats at a warm-up weight. That's nothing the first week. All right, this is not meant to, this is not meant to grind you down in the first weeks to show how tough you are. That is the wrong way to train. You're going to build up gradually over 6 weeks. 6 weeks, again, on the right side of the weights for an average, athletic male, adjust accordingly. But you're going to go from squatting 3 sets of 2 reps to squatting 3 sets of 12 reps. Okay, so you're going to go from doing 6 squats to doing 36 squats, and you're only going to have 30 seconds in between the 3 sets. All right, it is a gradual rise until you will. When you're done with that 6th week, you will have a great base. All right, now then this is what we're going to do afterwards. On week 7. All right, you're going to do all the lifts, and you're going to try to find out what your maximum amount of your lift is. All right, your max lift, it's called. You're going to do a max lift. Now, you're going to do as much as you can lifting on your squat and on your leg press. And on the 7th week, you're going to do the hang clean. It doesn't say it here because you're doing deadlift and good morning because you're trying to warm up to do a hang clean. So you're going to try to hang clean is you're going to take the bar from the ground. You're not going to catch it, or you're going to catch it. You're going to drop it. So you're going to try to find out as maximum amount of weight as you can hang clean, as maximum amount of weight as you can squat, and the leg press. Right, that's the 45-degree angle under the hip sled, it's called too. Now on the upper body, you don't need to crush upper body because we're volleyball players. You just need to be strong enough. Unless, of course, you want to crush upper body, then go right ahead. But you want to do a modified max on the arms, all right, the upper body, and also the leg curl, leg extension. You just want to find out how strong you can, how much weight you can. You don't want to fully go nuts on it because you want to set a pound. We're gonna do our weightlifting off of that from a percentage basis. So, and on the bench press too, you're only going to do it like a quarter. Like you don't go all the way because you don't want to stretch out that humerus shoulder capsule. So you're going to try to get a max bench press, but again, it's a modified max. You're not trying to kill it. You're not trying to get again, this is not a huge upper body sport. We just need enough strength in the upper body, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays, as I said, is you're running and sprinting. You're going to do a 50-meter jog and a 50-meter stride. Again, I described that in the last video, what a stride is. If you don't know what a stride is or how to stride, go get a track coach, all right? Or call me if you're an elite level athlete. I will help you. All right, you're going to stride 50 meters or jog 50 meters and stride 50 meters. And you're going to do 1 lap in the first week. All right. Second week, you're going to do 2 laps, 3 laps, 4 laps, 5 laps. And that's right, the 6 weeks, you're going to do 6 laps. That's 2,400, right? You're going to thank me. Your back is going to thank me. And everybody else is going to, yes. as you do this, your back might get a little tired. All right. It actually might even start to hurt a little bit. That's fine. Just keep going, like run with good form. Right. Again, what you're seeing here is a buildup. Right. It is a slow buildup over 6 weeks. You could start right now. We'll come back in the middle of February. Maybe I'll do another video in the middle of February to tell you what to do from there. Because again, we're starting the season off. After this 6 weeks, this will be the base on which you will start then to get your strength, all right, and your conditioning and your jump training. This plyometrics also does speed, by the way. Okay, so you have a knees to chest squat jump, and you have a long jump too. So it's going to help. The box jump down and up is going to help with your overall speed, your foot speed. It's going to help you with the passing and the setting and everything else. But this is going to build your base, and in the 6 weeks, it's not going to be hard so much as it's difficult. What would I say? It's like I'm not telling you're not trying to lift Mount Olympus. You're not trying to run a marathon. It's amazing how your brain is gonna work, gonna mess with you as you begin to do these 6 weeks. Because again, it's so gradual. Every week you're like, oh, a little bit more, a little more. Okay, I could do it. Like, wow, that's hard. Okay. Like when you're on the 6 weeks and you're doing all the jumping, and again, Monday, Wednesday jumps, you do Monday, Wednesday lifting legs too. Okay. You have to do 3 sets of 12 with a 30-second rest in between. It gets fun. It gets fun. You're like, be sweating. Again, you're working hard. You'll be training yourself to push yourself farther than you were before. Remember that mental strength I tell you about? You're going to be pushing. You're going to tell your body you can do more, and you can. This is going to show you. And then when you have the running, and you're like, oh my God, I never thought I could run that far. You can. All right, here you go. This is your video of everything you need to do to become a professional beach volleyball player. Again, watch the first video. It has a little bit more in some areas. I had given you your first 6 weeks of jump training, strength training, and conditioning. I have given you your practice. All right, practice once or twice a week, probably Saturday, maybe once on the weekend, maybe once on a Thursday or a Tuesday or a Thursday. And not on the Monday and Wednesday, probably, right? That's too much. Friday would be all right because it's just the lifting. So you have everything it takes to start the season 2024, all right? 2024 to get ready for the upcoming beach volleyball season. And if you do all this, I guarantee you will be a lot better than you were last year. And again, for all you out there who are really going for it, here we go. Stop sharing. Here is the Olympic gold medal. This is what we all are striving for at the elite level, at the professional level. All right, take a look at that. That thing's beautiful, huh? Put that around my neck. Okay, like they did in 1996. All right. Happy New Year to all y'all, and hope you have a great and blessed 2024. All right.